Just watching a little golf this morning. I bet you guys are not watching golf, and I bet you think that I'm gonna. Oh, what's up, dinosaur? Fifth, many fifth, third time. That's pretty good. I'm never on time. Good morning, Becky. Jones Raid. What's up, Jones? Thank you guys. Anybody that's coming in here from Jones's raid, it's nice to have you. Yeah, Belly, I think that says that Scotty Scheffler story is hilarious. For anybody who doesn't know, the best golfer in the world this morning was on his way to Valhalla for his Friday round. It was early, and there was a car crash, and he misunderstood what the police were telling him to do. He tried to go around, and he wound up getting arrested. He has a mugshot and everything. This dude just had a baby like a week ago. He is the most pure professional athlete on earth. He's never done anything wrong probably in his whole life, and he got arrested this morning. They were able to sort it out, and he got to the golf tournament. He got arrested for like I want to say like assault on an officer too. I don't know all the details, but it's wild. Apparently, it's not a big issue. He's at the golf tournament, but there's already people at the golf tournament wearing T-shirts with his mugshot on them. People are amazing. I love how far people will go to get something done like that. But it's funny. Um, and he's such a nice guy. He didn't even like tell them, "Hey, I'm Scotty Scheffler. I'm the number one player in the world, and I'm just trying to go into this golf tournament." He just didn't say any of that. So it's been a pretty funny morning, and he's playing great. He's out there at Valhalla. It's raining. I don't know where Valhalla is. Is that Ohio, maybe? Let me check. See if Felice messaged me. By the way, I don't know if she needed some extra time or not. I have a video I'm trying to download. I probably won't tease it actually. Just there's some funny videos that I'll have next week. Somebody sent it to me on Google Drive, and I can't get it to download yet. Kentucky, JJ, thank you. Valhalla's in Kentucky. Man, it's raining in Kentucky. Oh, it's in Louisville. Yeah, home of old James Comer, right? Isn't he Kentucky? Yeah, he's Kentucky. God, Kentucky, you got some rough representatives. It's not going that great for you in Louisville. Uh, the we will cover the brawl in Congress. Good morning.
Hey,
I can hear you. That's great. Felice told me last night. She messaged me like 6 o'clock last night. She's like, I already have the outline for tomorrow. Don't worry about it. And then like an hour later, she's like, never mind. They're fighting in Congress. We change of direction, and so now we're gonna cover that as well. Yeah, Crockett's comeback was hilarious. Have you guys seen? Did any of you watch Jamie Raskin? Like right after James Comer's like, "Wait, what did you just say?" And Raskin just covers his face and starts laughing. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in Congress. That's right up there. And I'm sure we'll get to it, right, Felice?
yes, I'm sure we will.
Good morning.
Sorry, guys, I'm having a bad morning, but I'm here and I'm okay, and it's Friday, so yay!
It's
Just
the
one of those
last one.
mornings when you.
Just a reminder today at the end of on Fridays, the last 45 minutes or so, it will be open panel. So we'll open things up the last 45 minutes today. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, and you want to get to them, we'll get to you at the end of the live today. Thank you for that, Galaxy. There above Felice's head is the Venmo and the Cash App. As always, we rely on your donations to keep going. We appreciate those who've been able to contribute this week. And anything? Oh, tap. We got to do the tap
Yeah,
taparoo
guys,
on
keep
the
tapping the
nose.
screen. Hopefully, we can get some opposition today, and we won't be mean and chase them off, right, Jay?
I'm gonna do my best. Yeah. Uh, Early start from
So
Travis.
share the live with five Republicans you know. You don't have to like them, but let's share the live. Let's see if we can get someone to talk to us, right? Like I would say today's a good day for opposition because oopsies, sorry. I was trying to turn the volume up. I just turned the lights on. It's one
It
of
is a
those
rough
morning. I
morning.
literally was like, I can't hear more. And that's because I'm turning on lights, not
Yeah, it didn't help
sound.
at
That's
all.
embarrassing. Okay. Yes, today's a great day for opposition because like I think what is fair to say about yesterday as it relates to the trial was finally something happened, right? Like something interesting happened. I think what's good to remember when we go through stuff about the trial today are a couple of things. Like, number one, like the prosecution's job, right, is to be very thorough. There is a jury, and they need unanimously for that jury to agree on however many of the 34 counts that something happened, right? That a crime was committed. So you have to get an entire jury to unanimously agree. And when you talk about the defense, what their job is essentially to punch holes or poke holes into the defense. And they're not looking to be super detailed or to create this chronological timeline because what God, don't hate me. Drew, sorry, Drew. I remember your name. But like Drew said, like you and I agreed with, you only need one juror, right? So like I think there's a lot of confusion around like why is Todd Blanche such a mess sometimes on cross? Like it's not pretty, right? And that's why there's so many objections because he's not in chronological order. He's not telling relevant facts around what he's doing. He's just trying to establish this guy's a liar, right? Like, and he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't need to tell this chronological or beautiful story and tie it in a bow so every juror can unanimously agree that something happened. He's just trying to get at that one or two people who's are like maybe this happened, maybe it didn't, or can I trust Michael Cohen? But yeah, like if you see a trial, like a boxing match, like there was actually a flurry of action yesterday, right? And it wasn't enough for me personally. I'm a little underwhelmed. Like the problem is we had Todd Blanche better than when was the last, was it Tuesday, whenever the last day of cross was,
Yeah,
much
Tuesday.
better than Tuesday, right? Todd Blanche, I was worried for him after Tuesday, much better. He had a good 5 minutes there. That's the problem though. He strung together a good 5 minutes, but that's what you're looking for. Like as the defense, like his literal job is to punch a hole in the prosecution's beautiful timeline of facts. Now, the problem is the hole we punched was not a new hole, right? It was the prosecution has already belabored the fact that Michael Cohen's a liar. But at least now we have something to talk about and debate. So that's when I say I think that this is a great day for opposition. I think some of like up until now, you kind of were fighting, uphill with us about this, and now there's something you guys, a position you can actually take to say,
Yeah, you
there
guys
was
got this
damage
today.
done to the prosecution's case.
You got this. Quick, Brett, thank you for the donation. There was no message there,
And
so
we found out you can't trust Cohen. Blake, if you found out that Michael Cohen was a liar just yesterday, I'm scared for you. I really truly am. Like that's
no,
the problem is we all already know that. Like there's lying liars, right? All around Donald Trump. This is what I was thinking last night that I think's super
hold
important
on,
to
hold on.
know.
I need
Oh,
to read
sorry.
these comments.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
So Brett sent a donation. Travis asks, F. Mary Banish, Dorothy Blanche, or Rose?
What? Dorothy, Blanche, or Rose? Am I missing something here?
Oh, Golden Girls?
Is that sound? Yeah, is that Golden
Yeah, it's the
Girls? Is
Golden
that
Girls.
Dorothy is the one with like shorter, like the responsible one, and Blanche is like kind of like the pretty one, right? And who? Which one's Rose? Is Rose the oldest one?
Let me make sure I have them in order.
I know who
Rose.
Dorothy is and Blanche. I'm just
Rose is
confused.
Betty White. Who did you say?
Oh,
Who did you say Blanche was? Blanche is like
Blanche
the
is
pretty
the
one,
pretty one, yeah,
and
and
Dorothy's
Dorothy's
like
like
the.
the mature one who's always
She's
telling
yeah,
everyone to like calm
yeah.
down. And it's okay. Oh, okay. um, um, Dorothy, I feel like Dorothy I would marry because I don't want to the chaos those other two cause. Well, I also love Rose though. Rose would be a good person to marry just because that would be like a marriage of laughs. So maybe I do. I do like Betty White. Maybe I marry Rose and have one night with Dorothy. I just think Blanche never took responsibility for anything. She was always just, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be that friend. I don't want to have to take care of another person.
I agree with you. Blanche is out. Fun
You are
fact.
Blanche. You are my
Oh,
Blanche.
oh.
You literally are Blanche.
My dogs are named Dorothy and Rose after the Golden Girls.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I have
funny.
two like
Did you watch
yellow
the Golden
labs.
Girls?
Yeah, so I didn't have cable growing up, so the only shows I
I didn't
watched were
either.
like
'Cause
old shows.
religious
So I
people.
watched like Andy Griffith Show and Golden Girls and
MASH.
MASH. Yeah, I loved MASH. MASH is great.
I Love Lucy.
I
I
Love
know.
Lucy,
Yeah, Hogan's Heroes. I
Bewitched.
remember terrible TV
Uh,
you were forced to watch my when your parents were religious.
Matlock. Did you
Oh
watch
my
Matlock?
God,
Yeah.
Matlock was.
Yeah.
I watched so much Matlock. That's hilarious. Later, Andy Griffith. I didn't figure out that was Andy Griffith for a long time. Like, which is the funniest part. Okay, we have a lot to get through, and we are doing the last hour with friendlies coming up and talking. So, in the hopes we'll get some opposition, like let's get this underway. I forgot I was gonna make a point right before you read the messages, and I don't really
Well, think about it for one
remember.
more second because there's another message. Tip Top says no Jeff or Ty today. It's Friday.
What did you say? I didn't hear.
No Jeff or Ty today. It's
Oh
Friday.
no, Jeff or Ty. I was like Jeff or
Jeff
Ty.
was Jeff is not happy that I kicked him off the other day. There was a whole lot. He went on Irish's live last night and he complained about it for a long time. He's very upset about that.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him, but I'm not. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Which is a
Well,
shame because Irish was giving him really good advice, and but he was just only thinking about the fact that he had been booted from the live, and so
was
he didn't
that
listen to any of it.
yesterday? Wasn't that? It
Yeah.
wasn't even yesterday. Jeff was on our live yesterday. No, he
Oh no
wasn't.
no, that was Wednesday. I think I booted
Okay,
him.
because I was like, God, if he, I don't even remember. Anyways, okay, so I like this is the thing. I was going at first when I was doing research about the trial, like we have the article we can go through, which I think is important, but I basically was trying to find a piece of news coverage that I thought would be a good example that we could go through of the incident where when I'm saying like, okay, the defense was able to sort of punch at Cohen's credibility, and we can read through a description of that. Sometimes it's hard to get a picture, so I want to do like somebody explaining it. And at first I was going to do Deadline White House, but because she had an excellent panel, Andrew Weissman, right? Like used to work for the DOJ, she and Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times investigative journalist Suzanne Craig was on. But then I started, as the day went on and I was watching different news coverage, I realized the news coverage gets much better once the transcript is out, because then they know like what the
Yeah.
sidebars, yeah, it's just like a fuller picture. So we're probably not going to do Suzanne Craig, which is a bummer because one day I'm going to show she was fabulous yesterday. But I think we'll do Lawrence O'Donnell because he had a great picture, and he had my favorite court reporter of all time on, Adam Klasfeld, and he had Andrew Weissman on. So I think that that will give us the best picture and description. Oh,
The organization you put together on this outline is phenomenal. Well done.
thanks. Okay, so could you add my backup and then mute it?
Yep.
Okay.
Think it's trying to load. There we go. Got it. Well, we have this uncomfortable silence. I don't know if you guys are uncomfortable with silence, but I am. Boop the snoot. There's the Venmo. There's the Cash App. A reminder, if you miss any of this today, the replay will be on YouTube. If you head over there and watch the replay, make sure to like it and maybe like a couple other videos while you're there. It'd be super, super helpful. Also, reminder, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Facts Still Matters is holding a live and a fundraiser. So we'll be there. Make sure you guys catch it. So that's what, three Pacific. So yeah, straight from here we can or I guess no, it's 3 Pacific. Yeah. You'll have a little break in between. But boop the snoot until then. I'll be there. I don't know if Felice is going to. Sounds like Felice needs again to take
Well,
a
I
nap.
thought that, let me just question. I'm not that tired. I have a question about that. I thought that Fridays on his live was, it's not, isn't it like mental health for men? Or is that different tonight?
I
Because
don't
that's why
know.
I was like, I didn't know if I was invited.
I no, I think everybody's invited. I'm not sure, to be honest. They're saying
The
no. I
"Are
think
you
it
okay" thing, was that for some reason I was under the impression that it was for men to
maybe,
talk
but
about mental health. I thought it was like a safe space, but everyone's saying everyone, so never mind.
there we go. The answer's no. None of us are okay.
Oh, someone's
Nobody's
saying every
okay.
second Friday. Okay, well, yeah, because that's what I thought. So maybe I will. Are you going to be on the panel?
If he wants me to, yeah, I told him I'd be there, and if he needs me to come up, I will. I don't really understand. I don't really understand it. I've never been to one of his "Are You Okay" lives, so I have no idea. I don't really know exactly what it is. I just said I'd be there, so I'll be
Yeah,
there.
well, I'm not okay. So if that's the criteria for it, then I should probably be there. If that's all it is, like, yeah, then I'll be there. But I know just again to reiterate, he did let us know that he had a friend recently that took his life. Is that correct, Jay? And it is a fundraiser.
Yeah,
Is that for that friend? So I do think,
I think it's more
um,
complicated than that, but I'm sure he'll explain it. He explained it to me, but I didn't want to. I can't pull up my message here, so I can't remember exactly what he said. But yeah, it's he did have a friend who took it, I believe, took his own life, and Fax is involved in that somehow. So I'm sure he'll explain it.
okay, cool. So again, that's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So, and if Fax is around, maybe he can come up and explain it a little more later. But again, today was or yesterday was the first interesting day of the trial. I mean, not to say it wasn't interesting before, but it was probably 100% one-sided in my opinion up until yesterday. It's still largely one-sided, but they got us shotted, and I'm a competitor, so I like, this sounds horrible, but in a way, I want to see the defense get a few punches in,
Yeah,
right?
you'd like to see a close game. Nobody wants to watch a blowout.
Yes, I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
watch a blowout, and that's what it was definitely
You're
shaping
like
up to
kind of
be.
rooting for Todd Blanche. Like, get him,
Well,
Tiger.
the problem is with this, that what you need to stay focused on are how this is charged and what we went over. This is falsifying of business records in the first degree. Nothing still it still stands true. Nothing that they went over has anything to do with the actual crime. Like, as a matter of fact, and we'll get into it, Donald Trump was in his hallway whining yesterday, admitted to the reimbursement. He's having his lawyer
Struggling.
lie about the reimbursement. We went over yesterday in a civil trial in California, he admitted to the reimbursement. He had his lawyer lie about the reimbursement in his opening statement. He's admitting to it in the hallway, and then after he admits to it in the hallway, his lawyer like mentions it in while talking to Michael Cohen on the witness stand. It's like mind blowing.
I
Trump having everyone keep his lies straight is really messing up his
that would not
trial.
be fun.
Like, you know what I mean?
I think the issue that they're up against is that yes, Michael Cohen is a liar, but there is all the evidence that what Michael Cohen said the first time was the lie. Right? So just saying that Michael Cohen's a liar isn't enough because they're saying, okay, he lied, but then he told the truth. And there's evidence to back up that what he said the second time was the truth. There's not really evidence that says the first time he told the truth. You can show that letter, you can show Stormy Daniels quotes, you can show anything from Michael Cohen before he changed his mind and pled guilty. Yeah, like there's quote after quote after quote of him and Stormy and Donald Trump lying, but then they got caught and then they told the truth. And that's the thing that I feel like
Well, and I
conservatives
just want to be
just aren't paying
careful.
attention to that. Like,
They
are
didn't lie. Michael Cohen was good about that, like, and explained it, right? Their statements were true technically, right? They're just misleading. Like the whole Stormy, like the whole, um, Oh my God, I'm sorry. My brain is going. My brain is going. What am I talking about? What he explained yesterday on the witness stand, like him saying, I was not reimbursed by the Trump
Yeah,
organization
like he was
or
clever
the
with the
Trump
language.
campaign. Like, so what I'm
Yeah.
saying, yeah, so they're not technical lies because they're technically true. They're just extremely misleading. Or Stormy Daniels saying, I didn't have an affair because she says, well, I could sign that because it was technically true. It was just one time we had sex.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah. So let's keep those technicalities in mind as we go forward. But yeah, that's not essentially when I say there was a hole punched in, that I want us to listen to Lawrence O'Donnell talk about it because he's actually daily in the courtroom. He stands outside in the line with the common folk to get a ticket to this trial. I
The
really
common
respect.
folk.
Well, that's the reason I'm saying common folk now is because of all the research I was doing last night. Like, essentially, you can get into this trial one of two ways. You can be waiting in a line. People are waiting in the line, like sleeping in line to get into this trial, reporters and whatnot. And you can get in that way, how everyone else is, or you can be in the red tie brigade and get it
That's cute.
with
Which is
get it
cute.
with Donald Trump. Like that, they're not waiting in line. Like they have a different process. They're going through a different entrance. Like if you want to be a liar and work for a mob boss, yeah, then you can get in quite easily to the trial. But I want to keep everyone while we're going through this, I want you to keep this in mind. The real problem, and this came to me last night, the problem with Donald Trump's defense is that his defense is this: everyone is a liar but the boss. You know what?
Yeah.
Everyone's a criminal. Everybody in this organization is a criminal but the man in charge.
Yeah.
Can anybody feasibly believe that is true? Everybody here is a liar and a criminal except for the guy in charge. That's his literal defense, and it makes no effing sense. Like, it's again, my pet peeve in life are people trying to insult my intelligence, and it just occurs. It's like, okay, so your defense is every person you've ever come in contact with is a criminal and a liar except for you.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Donald Trump's always telling the truth, even though he's telling two different stories about Stormy Daniels. Yeah, I paid her. I didn't pay her. We had the affair. We didn't have the affair. Like he can't even keep his own story straight, and yet his defense is I'm the one telling the truth. That's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough thing to prove. I think Donald Trump's attorney Todd Blanche has his work cut out for him.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know.
there's it's an
It's not gonna
uphill
be
battle.
enough. Like that's the problem with this. It's he can't. I don't believe he can. Oh, Todd Blanche can overcome this. He hitched his wagon to the wrong horse, or that weird pioneer statement. But
Yeah.
okay, hold on one second. Let me get the volume up, and away we go.
Phone and Donald Trump's bodyguard Keith Schiller's phone. Here's how that testimony went on Monday with Assistant District Attorney Susan Huffinger about that phone call. Question: let's take a look at the call between Mr. Schiller and Mr. Cohen on October 24th at 8:02 p.m. Do you see that call? Answer: yes, ma'am. Question: and was it 8:02 p.m.? Answer: yes. Question: you called Mr. Schiller or did he call you? Answer: I called Mr. Schiller. Question: do you know why you were reaching out to Mr. Schiller in the evening of October 24th, 2016? Yes. Question: why? Because I needed to speak to Mr. Trump and I knew that Keith Schiller was with him. Question: why did you need to speak with Mr. Trump at that point in the evening of October 24th? Answer: to discuss the Stormy Daniels matter and the resolution of it. Question: and did you have an understanding about whether during that conversation you resolved that you were moving forward to fund the deal? Answer: yes. That was then on direct examination. Today, Todd Blanche revealed some texts by Michael Cohen about an hour before his call to Keith Schiller's phone. Those texts were to and from a phone number that had been making harassing phone calls to Michael Cohen, and the person sending those texts eventually apologized to Michael Cohen and claimed to be.
Can I just say, I just need to break. This is so on brand for Michael Cohen. Like, essentially,
Yeah.
what the gotcha moment is the perfect thing to describe all of these narcissists like involved in this. some child was prank calling Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is so obsessed, with no one getting one over on him. You'd have to understand Long Island New Yorkers to understand why you might be so obsessed with a kid prank calling you. He
Drew.
finally figures out the kid doesn't block his number one time. Michael Cohen like gets his number, and then he's texting Keith Schiller, who essentially is in the Secret Service, to be like, what do we do about this 14-year-old? I finally got his number, like he wants the Secret Service to essentially go accost a prank caller. Like I don't know, it's just so on brand, you can't lie about it. But the thing that I just what the problem is with this defense is that both things can be true, right? None of these things are mutually exclusive. If you read the transcripts of this trial, one thing that Michael Cohen is consistently saying is, he says in the beginning, I imported Donald Trump's contacts to my phone. I had every single personal number for Trump and his body man, which is Keith Schiller. If I didn't reach Trump through his phones, or if Trump was worried like he didn't want to have a call log between us that day, I would reach out to Keith Schiller, and then Keith would put Trump on the phone. This is part of Michael Cohen's testimony.
Right.
So all that's happening is, and Michael Cohen also says this, he's like, the way my memory works, I don't always remember. It's not always about, I remember the important things, right? Which basically would mean a 14-year-old prank calling me is not the important part of that phone call. But in my opinion, and I just want to say, and actually, I don't want to say I came up with this opinion. I've heard it echoed like on Fox, on CNN, and on MSNBC, and I agree with it, is that where this kind of derailed is I don't think the defense should have necessarily, the prosecution should have pinned Michael Cohen down to a date. On October 24th, on this specific call, what happened? Like, he should just be like, hey, do you recall? It could have been more general and maybe not pinned down to an actual date. But anyways, moving along. I froze?
No, I agree with that. Like, I think that a lot of the people that I saw talking about it, like, this was significant in that, like, it did make Michael Cohen look at the very least unsure, right? If you're a Trump person, you probably think that it makes Michael Cohen look completely uncredible. I don't know that it does that, but it does at least like poke holes in the story. The problem that I think, again, the prosecution is going to have is poking holes in Michael Cohen's ability to remember dates. It would be really effective if that was the only evidence that corroborated Michael Cohen's story. But there's so much evidence that corroborates the story that they're going to have to do this for a majority of the evidence. Like, if you want to get to reasonable doubt, you're going to have to poke a lot of holes in a lot of evidence. And all this really did, in my opinion, is just prove one of two things. Either he made that story up or he doesn't remember exactly when it happened. It's like one of those two things, right? About talking to Trump.
No,
sorry, I
that's
guess I was
not.
to be more.
No, that's
Yeah.
not what
No,
it is.
I'm talking
Like, both
specifically
things
about the
could have
testimony.
happened. Yeah,
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
mutual.
Well, it can't be
Yeah,
both,
they're
right?
not mutually exclusive, right? Like he could. It's and not or. I think. Like the problem is, even with this one specific October 24th call, they didn't disprove any of Michael Cohen's testimony. Michael Cohen's testimony. Now, I want everyone to think about this because this is what the issue is. Michael Cohen's testimony is that he got on a call on Keith Schiller's phone, and then Keith Schiller handed the call to Trump, and they talked. That nothing that they presented text messages about a crank call going on that he wanted Keith Schiller as Secret Service to know about and do something about. That does not discount his testimony about what he talked to Trump about.
Well,
Like that's the answer. And here's the thing.
Wait,
now
hold
think
on,
about
hold on.
wait, let me
Wait,
just
hold-
finish and then you can go. Because I need to get this out before I forget. If they want to refute Michael Cohen's testimony, then they bring Keith Schiller on the stand to say, I never put Trump on the phone. right?
Right.
That would be refuting the testimony. But as they said at the end of the day yesterday in a private meeting, that once the transcript came out, we know what they're talking about. They have no intention of bringing Keith Schiller to the stand. If it is their contention that Michael Cohen just spoke to Keith Schiller, why then how you refute Michael Cohen's testimony is not with a text message. All that text message proves is, oh, and he talked to Keith Schiller about something different. If in fact they are saying, no, he never talked to Trump, then that is when you need to bring Keith Schiller onto the stand to say, yeah, I was there, it never happened. But for all intents and purposes, they went through the witnesses they may call. Keith Schiller is not one of them. Maybe he doesn't want to lie under oath.
Yeah. The talk I see in the box there, just making sure your opposition. If your opposition, Jen's trying to message you to make sure your opposition, just say your opposition in a comment there. Yeah, no, all I was saying is like to MAGA, obviously you can see the comments here, like that it destroys the entire case because they're desperate. This hasn't been good. But all I was saying is that at worst, what happened yesterday was that they showed that Michael Cohen couldn't remember an exact story, and maybe he didn't talk to Trump on that day. But even if that were to be true, that doesn't destroy the case. Like there's too much other evidence. He's got a long way. Todd Blanche has to knock down a whole bunch more walls, and I'm not sure he knocked this one down. What's up, the talk?
Hello. You know, I do think
It's a drunk octopus wants to fight. Is that what that says?
I found a funny picture.
I like that.
Thank you. You know, the one thing about Michael Cohen is, and this is where it went bad. You know, he's been labeled a liar, and what they did in court is proved it once again, and that is going to be hard for the DA now because that is their star witness. So you know, I think that wasn't.
But didn't he lie about doing this crime with Trump? Like
Well,
that's what he lied
well, they
about.
caught him in multiple lies on the stand, which doesn't help in this
Which ones?
situation. Well, he didn't. I mean, I just watched the MSNBC thing, and they pretty much spelled it out. I mean, I could go over everything that they talked about, but
We'll go over it
they
because I
proved
watched
he
all
never-
of MSNBC's coverage yesterday. So what specifically, which lies are you talking
Well,
about?
See, this is where you go. I'm talking about what was put on the news on a
Where I
a
go
more
in a
liberal
yes, I'm
channel.
telling you, I watched all of MSNBC's
Okay, did
coverage
you-
yesterday. Which lie are you talking about?
Okay, I'm talking about, well, there was the one where they proven that he never text with Trump. And there was a couple other things that they talked
No,
about.
what are you talking about? Trump doesn't text message. He's
Well,
never text messaged in his life. He doesn't have
Michael-
email. No, that's
Mike-
not even in question.
Well, Michael Cohen said he did on the stand, correct?
I don't remember
I
that.
have
do you
no
know what
idea
he's
what
talking
you're
about?
talking
Well, I'll
about.
go
I
back.
truly
I tell you
have
what I'll
no
do is I'll go
idea.
back.
There's no text messages from Donald Trump involved in this.
Well, I'm just saying. I'll go
Okay,
back and
just so
look
you
it
know,
up.
Donald Trump doesn't text message.
Okay, so where I'm going with this
Anybody,
is,
and I mean anybody
Ma'am,
ever in
please,
life, he's never
please,
sent
let
a
me finish
text
the
message.
sentence. What I was trying to say is this. I will go back because I assumed you guys saw the news where they talked about.
Let me say it again. Every hour, and I mean show by show, it goes Deadline White House, Ari Melber, it goes All In with Chris Hayes, then it goes Alex Wagner, then it goes Lawrence O'Donnell, then it goes Stephanie 11th Hour with Stephanie Rule. I watched and recorded every single show. So
I'll
whatever
find
you
out which
saw
one
on
it is.
there, you can tell me what it was, and then
I
we
will
can
do
have
that. I will
a
do that.
conversation about it. But Donald Trump has never sent a text message in his
Well,
life.
exactly. That would hold true to what happened on
Michael
the stand.
Cohen never said he did. Everybody knows Donald Trump doesn't text.
Okay.
It didn't
All right.
come
I will
out
get
in
it. I
this
will look it
trial.
up.
It didn't come out in this trial that Donald
Okay,
Trump
relax,
doesn't text.
Relax. I will look it up. I
You
will help
relax.
out.
You said something that
Well,
makes no
I mean,
sense.
I didn't mean to get you so agitated. I'm trying to
Hey,
talk.
brother, she's just correcting you. Like what you're
all right.
feeling right
I'll
now
get
is
back
not
to you guys.
You're
agitation.
I'll look it up.
wrong.
She just keeps saying the same thing. All we're saying is she watched the coverage. I didn't watch as much of coverage. We're just saying that the claim that you're making, we've never heard.
Okay.
That's basically what we're saying. Like, so she's saying it wasn't on MSNBC, so maybe it was somewhere else. But I'm with her. I don't
Well,
remember
I
that
understand.
I
claim.
read the transcripts.
Listen,
Nobody
I
has
do.
ever said that Donald Trump sent a text message. Donald Trump
I
doesn't
understand
text.
where you're coming from. You don't have to keep telling me that. What I'm trying to tell you is I will get back on and look it up because I can't really tell you who it was. It was two women talking about the court appearance. I
You
think they
said
were
that
live.
Michael Cohen said that Donald Trump texted him.
There were
Donald
multiple
Trump
things.
doesn't text
I'll be
message.
back. I'll look it up. I'll be able to answer that question better. I thought you guys would
Nope.
know about it, so I'm confused how that's
Yeah,
not
maybe we missed it. I don't know.
I'll
Maybe
look
I
it up.
didn't miss it. Donald
Felice,
Trump
just-
has never
it's
sent a
okay.
text message
I
in
know
his
that,
life.
guys.
I know.
Thank
Just
you.
let him go. It's fine. Let him go look for it. Maybe he was on MTV and not MSNBC. Maybe he just was on the wrong channel. Got some bad information. If anybody knows somehow, if somehow that information was missed and somebody has it, shoot it over to us because I'm sure I'm 100% sure Felice watched more than I did. I haven't heard that. I was on Twitter all morning watching right wingers. I didn't even hear right wingers claiming that. So I don't get that response, or I don't get that claim.
Like yeah, and I want to be more. I just want to specifically say Donald Trump has never texted, so no one's claiming the defense, the prosecution, that Donald Trump's involved in text messaging. Trump himself has said it's not good to text message, it's not good to email because it can get you in trouble. That's why he doesn't do it, because he's, to avoid criminality such as this. So certainly there's no text messages from Donald Trump involved in this.
Just a reminder to those in the box, we're just taking opposition. Friendly is at the end, like the last 45 minutes. We'll open it up. But if you're not opposition, just if you could keep that box clear, that'd be great.
Okay, so let's go back to Lawrence then.
Yes.
Whoopsies.
14 years old. Today, question. Do you recall at 7:48 texting Keith Schiller about this 14-year-old? Do you recall that? Do you recall that? Answer, I don't recall. Question. Do you recall texting Keith Schiller at 7:48? Who can I speak to regarding harassing calls to myself and office? The dope forgot to block his call on one of them. You don't recall that? Answer, it sounds right. Yes, sir. Question, do you recall at 8:02 your initial text to Mr. Schiller is at 7:48, and then at 8:02 he says, call me to you, right? Answer, yes, sir. Question, when you testified on Tuesday that you had a specific recollection of that 1 minute, 36-second phone call on October 24th, was not with Keith Schiller that you called Keith Schiller and he passed the phone to President Trump. You finalized the deal with Stormy Daniels and you said, we're going to move forward. And he said, yes, because you kept him informed all the time. That was your testimony, right? Answer, that's correct. Question, that was a lie. You were actually talking to Mr. Schiller about the fact that you were getting harassing phone calls from a 14-year-old, correct? Answer, part of it was the 14-year-old, but I know that Keith was with Mr. Trump at the time, and there was more than potentially just this. That's what I recall based on the documents that I reviewed. Question, that's not what you testified to on Tuesday. You said you had a recollection of a phone call on October 24th at 8:02 p.m. where you called Mr. Schiller and he gave the phone to President Trump, and you told President Trump about the updates that you were moving forward with the funding, and he said, okay, go. That was a lie. You did not talk to President Trump on that night. You talked to Keith Schiller about what we just went through. You can admit it. Answer, no, sir, I can't. I am not certain that is accurate. Question, you were certain it was accurate on Tuesday when you were under oath and testifying. You were certain it was accurate. You had a phone call to President Trump. But now you are saying you are not certain it was accurate. Answer, based upon the records that I was able to review in light of everything that was going on, I believe I also spoke to Mr. President Trump and told him everything regarding the Stormy Daniels matter was being worked on and it's going to be resolved. Question, we are not asking for your belief. This jury doesn't want to hear what you think happened. Ms. Hoffinger, objection, the court sustained. Michael Cohen adjusted his testimony to say that he probably first said something to Keith Schiller about the harassing 14-year-old before talking to Donald Trump to get his approval for the Stormy Daniels deal. Michael Cohen said, "I always ran everything by the boss immediately." And then it was time for the lunch break. Todd Blanche handled those few minutes of cross-examination very effectively, very effective in the courtroom. But that phone call at 8:02 p.m. is not the only part of Michael Cohen's testimony that delivers Donald Trump's approval of the Stormy Daniels deal. Earlier in October of 2016, Donald Trump said, "Just pay it, just do it," according to Michael Cohen's testimony to the district attorney on Monday. Here is that testimony from Monday. Question: what, if any, additional pressure did you feel to close this deal with Stormy Daniels as a result? Answer: well, because the Daily Mail was in play and they were anxious to sell the story. Question: did there come a time after that, again, still in October of 2016, that Mr. Trump, in substance, expressed to you that he understood he could no longer delay this transaction? Answer: yes. Question: and describe that conversation that you had with him. Answer: he stated to me that he had spoken to some friends, some individuals, very smart people, and that it's $130,000. You're like a billionaire. Just pay it. There is no reason to keep this thing out there, so do it. And he expressed to me, just do it. Go meet with Alan Weisselberg and figure this whole thing out. Question: following that conversation with Mr. Trump, did you, in fact, have some discussions with Alan Weisselberg about trying to figure out how the payment would be made? Answer: yes. Todd Blanche has not asked a single question about Michael Cohen's discussions with Alan Weisselberg to arrange payment of the Stormy Daniels hush money. Todd Blanche told the judge today that he will use about 2 hours to finish his questioning of Michael Cohen on Monday, and Todd Blanche will surely then try to create reasonable doubt about that meeting that Michael Cohen described with Alan Weisselberg, where Alan Weisselberg hand wrote the payoff plan on the left side of that bank statement of Michael Cohen's that showed Michael Cohen's $130,000 payoff to Stormy Daniels. Todd Blanche is going to have to come up with an alternative explanation for the $130,000 written in Alan Weisselberg's own handwriting on that document, a document which Michael Cohen says they then brought into Donald Trump's office and discussed with Donald Trump. That very document that we just had up on the screen, the three of them in the room looking at that document. Donald Trump, Alan Weisselberg, Michael Cohen. In this trial, Michael Cohen will be the only person who was in that room who will offer under oath testimony about what happened in that room. The defense has already indicated there is no plan for them to call Alan Weisselberg to the witness stand, who could conceivably testify on behalf of Donald Trump and maybe say that that meeting never took place. That testimony is not going to happen. The defense has all but admitted to the judge that Donald Trump will not testify. And so the jury is going to be instructed that the lawyer's questions are not evidence. Testimony by witnesses is evidence that the jury can accept or reject, but questions by lawyers are not evidence.
Does that make sense what he's saying? So Todd Blanche poking a hole, right, without, say, Keith Schiller being called to the witness stand to say, I never handed the phone to Trump, so it's not evidence, right? Like they haven't entered evidence to refute that. Also, so again, when we talk about this one call, that was the 24th. The important calls that matter, and we'll go over this more, happened on the 26th. The 26th was the day when there's actual calls to Donald Trump and then before he went across the street, which his personal banker also corroborated, to send the wire. That was on the 26th. So none of the actual calls or meeting, which is what he's talking about there, the actual meeting with Alan Weisselberg's handwriting where they talked about the reimbursement payments, has been brought up or refuted. None of the things that go to the actual crime, which is the falsification of business records, has at any time been addressed, and no witnesses, right? Either Keith Schiller to come up on the stand for Trump and say, "Yeah, I was there. It was my phone. I never handed it to Trump." Right? They're not going to do that. It looks very much Trump's not going to testify on his behalf. Alan Weisselberg could
Do you have an
come
idea why
testify
they
for the
wouldn't call?
defense.
Have you
What?
heard any explanation of why they wouldn't call Keith Schiller?
No, there's no explanation. That's what
Yeah.
so the last hour, they dismissed the jury, and pretty much for the last hour, there was a meeting about the sum and substance of the defense and their witnesses they were going to call. That's essentially what they were asking. Like, who is it then? Like, is Keith Schiller going to come and talk about this? And the answer is no. They have a possible federal election campaign act expert. Then they said that they possibly wanted, which the president of the Trump org, I can't remember his name right now, but they're like, that's not looking
Right.
like we want him, so he's not coming. They never mentioned Alan Weisselberg, never mentioned Keith Schiller. It's not looking good for Trump. So that's when Lawrence O'Donnell is saying the lawyer getting animated and asking questions is not evidence. They have to have the only evidence is someone refuting Michael Cohen's testimony. Michael Cohen's testimony is, yeah, that could have happened too, but it doesn't mean I didn't talk to Trump. And they
Yeah.
need Keith that really wasn't was important. That happened. And first, when he was just giving his testimony to Susan Hoffinger, the prosecutor, is that a sign of reasonable doubt? Like, well, if he didn't remember this initial conversation, did the second part happen? So yeah, that is where reasonable doubt comes in.
Yeah, and I think that the explanation there will be also that should this come up again, that of course you're not going to text about a crime, right? Of course you're not going to send text message evidence
Yeah.
of a crime. Like Michael Cohen's a smart attorney. Trump doesn't use text message or email for a reason. He specifically said, like, yeah, everybody that ever gets caught doing something, it's their emails or their text messages. So that would likely also be the defense. But again, I'm not trying to say that this case is done. We're just trying to be as honest as we possibly can about what we think the testimony means, and we don't know because it's still a jury, and you never know with a jury. But we're trying to find like what's the most reasonable answer for these inconsistencies, and we're probably a little biased, and that's fine. And if you disagree with our biased takes, please come up and tell us about it. I do have an announcement here. Jenny sent a donation and said, "My son is graduating tonight. Shout out to him for making it
So's
this far."
Trump's. So's
Yeah.
Trump's son.
Well, I was just gonna say, Myth Lover, are you by chance a Melania account? Are you Melania? Are you? Tell us the truth. I think that graduation already happened. I think it was this morning. I saw a picture
Yeah, he's
of
gonna be in. He is going to that dinner in Minnesota or whatever tonight. Trump's
yeah,
gonna be in Minnesota tonight, I believe, for a campaign event.
I was looking at Twitter. It was so funny. Like the MAGA Twitter, they're like, "Take that, Judge Merchan. You didn't win this one." It's like he never said he couldn't go. That was never a thing. Donald Trump just made up a lie that the judge said he couldn't go. The judge never told him he couldn't go, and he's there, and they're like, "This is how desperate you guys are for a win. Like you're calling that a win." You're like, yay, he got to go to something that he was never told he couldn't go to.
That's a
Hooray!
perfect example of like because MAGA doesn't read or look into their own facts of something. Yeah, that all Judge Merchan said at the beginning was, "Hey, we got to see how the flow of the trial's going. I'll let you know. I'm not sure yet if the trial's on schedule. Most likely, yeah." And then Trump went out and said, "Oh, I can't go to my son's graduation." That was never true. And the minute the trial appeared to be on schedule and going well, the judge told him he could go. That's the true story. But again, I want to make sure I'm clear. I am not saying that Michael Cohen is not a liar. My position on this is that Michael Cohen is a liar who was hired by a liar to work at a criminal organization. They're all liars. They have been liars. They will continue to be liars. And that's the problem with criminal organizations. Like, it's not pretty, right? It's not like you want like some reputable, like upstanding doctor to convict Trump. It's just not going to happen. I mean, these are criminals working with other criminals. So yeah, they are all very much liars. Trump is in the hallway outside the trial every single day lying
Yeah.
profusely. Like, I am not, if anyone feels like I'm saying that Michael Cohen is not a liar, I am not saying that. And if you read the transcripts, what you will see is that all last week, that was smear Michael Cohen week. Not just the defense, the prosecution, all of the witnesses spent all of last week making very clear that Michael Cohen's a liar. So if anyone is under the impression that that jury doesn't know Michael Cohen's a liar, or like yesterday was the first day, like, oh my God, is Michael Cohen not telling us
Yeah.
the truth?
Yeah.
Like,
Don't
no,
be surprised.
everyone's aware Michael Cohen's a liar. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at falsification of business records, right? 11 invoices, 11 checks, 12 ledger entries. Does Michael Cohen, being a liar or not, dispute the paper trail? No, it does not, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying. But no, of course, Michael Cohen is a known liar. Like, just to be
Uh,
clear.
Wasn't me said, what if Cohen set this up on purpose? I'm not sure what you meant, but like that is kind of the criticism of Michael Cohen if you're going to go down that road. Like if you want to apply logic and extend that logic, Why is Michael Cohen lying right now? What's the benefit that Michael Cohen gets of lying right now? And if you say maybe to protect his story, okay. Why did he plead guilty to something that he didn't do? Right? Because he did this crime with Donald Trump. So is this part of that plan that Michael Cohen planned? And I don't think this is what wasn't me saying. I think it's more of a Republican argument. But is that the idea that Michael Cohen planned this out, pled guilty to crimes that he didn't commit, went to prison for crimes that he didn't commit, just so that years later he could bring down Donald Trump? Is it like that was the plan here? If you extend that logic out, and what's your name here that's been
Hoodie, I
chat?
miss you. Come up
Oh,
here. I want to see what you think.
yeah, Blake. Well, if you're still listening to this, just extend that logic and try and explain to me. Give me a story. Give me a narrative of why Michael Cohen lied about all of this, went to prison for it, lost his law license, lost millions of dollars, lost his friends, lost his job, just so that he could come back for this moment. Is that the? I mean, that narrative makes no sense to me. But if any Republicans want to explain that to me, that'd be terrific.
And I thought, and actually we can go over this, but Andrew Weissman talks about that. Andrew Weissman was one of the lead prosecutors. If you're MAGA and you're here, you might recognize the name Andrew Weissman because Trump used to rail against Andrew Weissman on Truth Social. I mean, like the Mueller investigation, Russia, 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 like he was one of the lead investigators. He's one of the best lawyers in this country, really. And he was on pretty much every hour by hour panel on MSNBC yesterday discussing this. And that is the issue, is like what is the other narrative, right? And as a defense lawyer, it's you just have to poke holes, but at some point, if you're a good defense lawyer, you're gonna have an alternative narrative. Okay, you guys are saying it's not this way, right? It's not the timeline, it's not the story, it's not the narrative. The prosecution is defending. One of the things good defense lawyers do is they say, here's our alternative narrative, right? And not only have they not offered an alternative to, because there's a paper trail, right? It's got to fit all of the emails, all of the text messages, all of David Pecker, all Hope Hicks, all of these people's testimony backs up Michael Cohen. So they have to come up with an alternative narrative that still validates all of this mountain of evidence. And we have not only have we not seen it, we saw them poke out one call. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're not even telling us what the conspiracy is, right? Or who led this to happen. You can talk. They talk about Judge Merchan. They talk about his daughter. They talk about Alvin Bragg. But again, what they're like, where did all this evidence come from? Why did people like Hope Hicks and Michael Cohen and Alan Weisselberg and David Pecker, like, why did they all validate these stories? Were they all in on it too? It's like everybody was in on it. Trump's organization was in on this too. They also wanted to bring him down, and Michael Cohen's like, "Don't worry, guys, I've got a plan. I am gonna have to go to jail for a while, but I have a plan." That's tough. It's tough to prove that, guys.
And think about like David Pecker, the National Enquirer guy, head of the National Enquirer. He said in his testimony, Michael Cohen did not have the leash to buy lunch without Donald Trump's permission, right? Like that. I mean, that's his testimony. Hope Hicks, Michael Cohen would not reimburse someone $5, let alone 130,000. Like Michael Cohen himself said, like, I had to keep Donald Trump informed because I wanted my money back. Like, that's what if it's not altruistic, if it's not because I admire Donald Trump, for the simple fact that's the only way I was ever getting my money back is if he agreed to give it back.
Yeah. Blake, I want to know. I appreciate, Blake. I know you don't have enough followers to come up and you're at work, and you said if Cohen gets convicted, he gets paid. How does that not make sense? Who's paying him?
He already got paid, Blake. That's
Yeah, who's
that's part of the testimony is he's made 3.2 million off his books. Like he already got paid.
Yeah, like who's gonna pay him if like only if Trump gets convicted? Who pays him? What are you talking about? See, this is the problem with your guys' conspiracies. They don't make any sense. Trump, like Cohen, already made his money off of this, and he'll continue to make money off of this because he was Trump's personal attorney, and he committed a crime and went to jail for a crime that he did with Donald Trump. And I'm just saying, Blake, look at yourself in the mirror and say, is this a good argument? Is this really what this case hinges on? Do you think that the jury is going to ignore everything because they're like, oh, he's just doing this to get paid, when nobody knows who's paying him? There's not even an accusation of him getting paid. Don't make up things. Don't just like make up new conspiracies to defend Donald Trump. Listen to what his lawyers are saying. Listen to what his actual defense is, and then try and square that. Try and square, like, okay, here's what his attorneys did. They provided no counter narrative. Is this going to be compelling? It's compelling to you, but Trump farting would be compelling to you. Like, it's compelling to you that Trump reads articles about himself after court every day. It's compelling to you that he fell asleep. Everything he does is compelling to you. But ask yourself, somebody who doesn't worship Trump, is that going to be compelling to them? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think the answer is wrong, or no.
I think you have to offer, how does this make sense another way? That's what I think they have to explain to the jury. I was watching so much news yesterday, so I cannot remember who it was, but someone made a really good point, like, oh, it was Nicole Wallace, because she's like, she was amongst lawyers and a Pulitzer Prize winning investigative journalist, and she's like, okay, I'm not a lawyer, like, I'm not Suzanne Craig, but I've been on a jury. And she's like, I'll tell you, like, jurors want something to hang their hat on, to say he's guilty or he's not guilty for this reason. And that's where the alternative narrative comes in. Like, if not this narrative with overwhelming evidence and a paper trail, give me the reason. What am I going to say when my family asks, why was it a hung jury? Why'd you hold out? Like, what's the reason? And that's what is missing. But again, the good news is there's Monday. There's still more to come.
Well, Wasn't Me wants to ask you a question. Which tea is hard to swallow?
Oh, I don't know.
Reality.
It's true. That's true.
Uh,
That's some truth right there.
Brianna
Yeah.
says, I'm having a hysterectomy next month. Would it be illegal to mail it to Clarence Thomas?
Oh my gosh, that's a great
I
question.
don't know, but do it. Do it. Just do it.
I
Here's my uterus.
Literally, it should. I just wanted to say, like, yesterday we had the Red Tie Brigade outside of the trial screaming about the judge's daughter, which, again, the judge, just for all MAGA in here so you can stop with the lies, asked the ethics commission, the New York Ethics Commission, if there was a conflict, because his daughter worked in marketing. His daughter worked in advertising and marketing, and that had already been adjudicated. And they came back and said, nobody has a conflict because they have a relative who has a job. Like, it's just not a conflict. But here, let's do talk about judges with conflicts. You know what came out in the New York Times yesterday? And this is number, I believe, 2 on the outline. It's called, "At Justice Alito's House, a Stop the Steal symbol on display." Did you hear about this? You want to talk about compromised judges, because it's always projection, right? This Democratic judge is compromised. Samuel Alito, while the Supreme Court was considering whether or not to hear a case about January 6th, he had an upside down American flag in his yard on January 17th, 2021, which is a Stop the Steal symbol. And while the Supreme Court is trying to get while everyone's yelling Clarence Thomas needs to recuse himself because he has a relative. Now think, all you hear is the judge's daughter, right? Clarence Thomas's wife was actively involved in an insurrection. He wouldn't recuse himself. Samuel Alito had a Stop the Steal sign on January 21st or January 17th, 2021 in his yard, an upside down American flag. When asked about it, he said, "Oh yeah, I didn't do it. It was my wife." Another judge with a corrupt family member that won't recuse himself. And then you have the Republicans projecting onto people with no actual conflicts. If you want to say this judge is corrupt, then I know you've never read the transcript. This is the fairest judge I've ever seen in my life.
One other thing I want to just point out to somebody who just said that.
The
uh,
judges weren't making money. You're joking, right? You're
eh,
you're joking,
yeah,
correct? Yeah, okay, you must be
Emma's
joking, sir. I think you can reason your way through that one.
Emma's killing me. She said these men are mediocre AF in the chat today. I agree with that. But like, if you really think this is about money, let's follow the money trail. Who's making money off this trial?
I'll tell you who.
Yeah, who?
All of the Republicans who fundraised off it yesterday. Donald
Oh
Trump
yeah,
is Donald Trump is fundraising off the trial. James Comer is fundraising off the trial. Matt Gaetz, I got his fundraising email off the trial. There are people in politics making money off this trial, and it is corrupt, but it's not the judge.
yeah. So like, again, can we just? We're just asking that you be logically consistent, right? And this is for your benefit. If you think like if you think that somebody making money off something is proof of something, then you need to be logically consistent. You need to help us understand like why. I mean, Donald Trump, nobody has made more money off these trials than Donald Trump. Donald Trump has raised hundreds of millions of dollars off of, hey guys, they're picking on me. That's like, he's making the most. His family is kept afloat. His campaign is kept afloat. His business is kept afloat. All because he is fundraising off of this. But that
Yeah,
wouldn't be
and if
corruption
you
because it's
say the
Trump, right?
judge's daughter made money off the trial, then you are lying. That's not true. That's just a lie that's being told. Unless you can come up and show me proof of how the judge's daughter is making money off this trial. She's
Uh,
not.
Wasn't me says my one wish: men can have babies. Problem solved. No, that I understand that is a problem solved for some things, but boy, if men were responsible for having babies, we would not have babies anymore. It would be that could be the end of the world for us.
Yeah, I know. They never had proof. Sorry, I was just referencing something in the chat. Not I
No,
was
it's
reading.
okay. I was just reading a comment. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so let's continue because this will answer. I think some of these questions will be answered. There's some really good commentary in here.
Questions by lawyers prove nothing. And so, Todd Blanche's big moment today, where he raised his voice to the loudest level we have heard in that very polite courtroom from anyone in that room, saying to Michael Cohen, that is a lie, is not evidence in this trial. The jury will be instructed to that effect. The only actual evidence we have in this trial about that 8:02 p.m. phone call is what Michael Cohen has said about that phone call. Donald Trump's lawyers could call Donald Trump's bodyguard, Keith Schiller, to testify under oath about that phone call, but they have indicated that they will not call Keith Schiller. And so, a loud and jarring and rhetorically very effective question was asked by Todd Blanche right before the lunch break today, but it is not evidence. There were other moments that Todd Blanche had today that are, to put it mildly, perplexing. Todd Blanche said something to Michael Cohen about Karen McDougal that undermines one of the pillars of the defense. Karen McDougal
Listen
was
to
the
those.
Playboy model who had a long-term affair with Donald Trump, and her story was then suppressed by the National Enquirer on behalf of Donald Trump during the presidential campaign, when the National Enquirer paid Karen McDougal $150,000 for her life rights so that the National Enquirer could then kill that story, prevent it from ever coming out. Todd Blanche actually said to Michael Cohen that Donald Trump, quote, didn't think this story would hurt him.
Do you hear that?
But what about the Melania defense? The defense position is that whatever Donald Trump ever did in relation to the Karen McDougal story or the Stormy Daniels story was all about protecting the feelings of his wife, not protecting his presidential campaign. But Todd Blanche said in court today that Donald Trump didn't think the Karen McDougal story would hurt him. Why? Because Melania wouldn't care? Because Melania knows that this is what her husband is up to all the time? And at 3:43 p.m. today, just before the end of Michael Cohen's testimony for the day, Todd Blanche said to Michael Cohen, quote, President Trump reimbursed you from his own personal funds. Answer, either
Oh, this
from
is that
President
part.
Trump's own personal funds or from the trust. So, Todd Blanche admitted in that question today.
So again, what he's saying is the first defense that Donald Trump they've been mounting is that this is about the family. This is about Melania. Todd Blanche yesterday said that Trump wasn't worried, didn't think it would hurt him with Melania, the Karen McDougal thing, which flies in the face of the defense. And then the second thing is Todd Blanche then goes and says that he was reimbursed and admits it. And they're saying in his opening statement is saying that Trump didn't reimburse him. It's just it's wild. It makes no sense. Hi, Dale.
Hey, I think he's going to be found guilty. I mean, I think that was done when they didn't do the change of venue. So it was pretty much baked in that he's not getting off on this. But, and I think most of the countries accepted that. You know, some people will vote for him, some people won't. Some people won't vote for him because he's a convicted felon. Some people don't care, right? Will he win on appeal? Probably. Will that appeal come after the election? Yeah, right. So
How do you think? What do you think they would what grounds would he win the appeal on? Do you think?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I have a pretty good idea that he would most likely win an appeal if you listen to some of these experts. They're like, oh, geez.
What experts?
So, okay, just watching the news, there's a lot of experts that talk about it. You know, like Dershowitz talks about it, and
I don't think Dershowitz is considered an expert by very many people anymore.
Oh,
To be honest,
well,
I think his
okay.
credibility has been pretty shot in the last
Oh,
8 to 10 years. He's basically come to Trump's defense on everything. He's a campaign spokesman more than anything.
he doesn't vote for Trump.
I don't know who he votes for. I have no idea, but I know that he's been
He doesn't
on
vote for
Trump's
Trump.
side on virtually every single thing so far. I just don't think that that's a person who I would view as unbiased. Same with Jonathan Turley.
Okay. Well, they both probably should be fired because they're
No,
crap.
Dale, I am very aware that there are legal, and I read an opinion piece myself in the New York Times. Yeah, it was a Boston law professor who was making the argument of how this could be turned over an appeal. That was a very technical argument based on words used in the opening statement. And so now as the case has developed, I think that those arguments were being made before the prosecution's case had been laid out. But yeah, you're right. It's not. You're right that there are legal experts that say that this could be overturned on appeal. I think it's more likely to be overturned on appeal than for him to not be found guilty of any of these counts.
Exactly. Like I said, I think most people would have taken it a little bit more seriously if they would have let him change venues, right? And if they would have recused the judge, most people would think, oh, it seems to be a little bit more fair, right? But they just denied both of
What's
those
unfair
outcomes.
about it? He committed the crimes in this
Sure,
district.
but
This is where he lived, and
States' rights.
there's nothing about the judge that is unfair. No matter what trial Donald Trump has ever gone into, no matter what, he has always said it's unfair, it's biased, the judge doesn't like me. If you remember, there was a judge that ruled, I think, on Trump University, and he was like, "Oh, well, he doesn't like me because he's Mexican." Remember that?
RTP, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. So,
RT,
like, what's the evidence? Well, I'm just gonna say. So, what's the evidence that, like, on what grounds should Judge Merchan have recused himself here?
what grounds?
Yeah.
Well,
What
you
grounds
can't.
is there for a recusal?
Well, his family has raised money on this trial.
No, no,
No,
no.
that's a lie.
His daughter
Dale,
has raised $90 million
Hold on.
that's
on this
not
Just let him
trial.
finish,
true.
please. Let him finish, please.
Well, okay, but it's been reported it's been reported, has it not, on the news that his daughter has raised 90. It has not. It has not
No,
been reported.
Dale, his daughter works for a third
Where did
party.
I hear that then?
Let me, Dale, then cite the source. I'm open to looking at an article that says that. I'm not, I'm open to seeing that article, Dale. I think that there are Republicans saying that. I think there, if that was true, if somehow she made $90 million off this trial, there would be a paper trail. That does not exist. But let me just explain to you, because I did research it. She, so, and I also used to work at advertising and marketing in New York. She works for a third party marketing and advertising firm that specifically specializes in political campaigns. So there are like her client, or not her clients, it's not her company, just to be clear. She does not own the company. She just works for the company, but it's marketing and advertising directed at political campaigns, particularly for the left. So the clients are, I think it's fair to say, primarily Democrats, but I don't know that. Like, I know, so, but
Yeah,
that's what it is. This is
yeah.
just capitalism. That's her job, Dale. She's not fundraising off a trial. Her job is, someone's going to run for a campaign. Let's just take Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman hires a marketing and advertising firm to help with his campaign, or retains one. That's how it works. And then they do specifically, primarily digital marketing and advertising to help get people elected. That's what the company does.
But also,
Oh,
like, Donald Trump is
that's not a
fundraising
conflict?
off of. No, it's
No,
not. How is that a conflict of interest to have? Like, if I was the judge, why is it a conflict of interest if my daughter has a job and her job is to work in politics and she just happens to be on the other side? What you guys are doing, David, and what you have allowed Trump to do is take any trial, no matter what. How many trials, David, could you go to where the judge, if he was not appointed by a Republican or a Democrat? How many trials could you have where the judge wasn't appointed by a Republican or a Democrat?
Zero.
Yeah, zero. Yeah. So it's not, so what you have to show is that the judge himself is not only is somebody who is biased, but is also profiting off this, which he's not. And his daughter, who doesn't own the company, who's making the profit, who is paid a salary, is working for people who choose to fundraise, just like all the Congress people that were there yesterday fundraising off of Donald Trump. They're all doing it. That doesn't mean bias, and I don't think any
So,
judge could possibly overturn this on appeal for bias, because
so
then you would have to overturn every single case where somebody was the opposite political party, and that is chaos. And then you're saying, well, now we only have to have judges who are in the same political party. But I don't see you, Dale, pointing at Judge Cannon, who has been overruled twice already on rulings regarding Trump's case, and he was, or she was, appointed by him. You guys don't talk about that. That's the only judge so far that, like, there is a pretty clear bias, and they've been overruled and overturned twice. But you guys don't ever talk about that.
okay. So why don't they just why did they want to give Trump this talking point so that he could actually bring this stuff up? Why not just do it so he can
That's
get rid of the talking point for him?
That's because what they do is the judge is assigned, right? These cases get assigned when you have multiple judges. This case was assigned to Judge Merchan. And by the way, almost all, like, this is a very liberal state. We're in New York. Like, there's going to be Democrat judges. That's going to happen. But you guys have to stop pretending that that alone is bias. It's not. It's not anywhere near grounds for recusal. Not anywhere close. And Eileen Cannon probably is, there's probably not grounds for recusal there, and what she's done is way, way worse.
Well, my point is, if they would have done it, they could have taken those points away from him, right? So that
Those points are
at that point,
irrelevant. He doesn't, those points
okay, I
don't hold up in
understand.
court.
You, I get it,
So
but my
that's what I'm saying,
point
Dale.
is
So why
on.
would they do that?
Well, it's public opinion,
Who
RTP, right?
cares? This is court, not public
This
opinion.
is not court. This is election.
It's court. No, this is court. You
Oh,
got, see, this is the problem. You've all been lied to. You're like, this is the election. It's not the fucking election. This guy committed a crime with Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen went to jail. Did you guys stand up and say, oh, this is election when Michael Cohen went to jail? No, of course not. You got to stop being so easily manipulated. This is court. There is overwhelming evidence that Donald Trump committed this crime, and you're just being told it's election. Why? Because none of you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, none of you have any guts. None of you. You love Donald Trump so much that you will believe
No, I don't.
obvious lies and conspiracy theories to defend him. Yeah, you
No, I
do.
don't.
Because you're up here arguing that a judge is biased when there's no evidence that this judge is biased at all. You guys are arguing all of these technicalities. You're putting motive behind people when you have no idea what their motive is. You're just assuming that because Donald Trump
Okay,
is
I
not
didn't make.
liked, that there's like
Okay, I'm
the
sorry. I didn't
that
mean
nobody
to
will
make you
ever give him a fair
hysterical.
shake.
I didn't mean to make you
Well, can I
hysterical.
just talk about
Oh,
facts
shut up,
then, Dale?
Dale. Shut up.
Can I please just talk? So again, this has been adjudicated, right? Prior to this trial being started, this went before the New York Ethics Commission, who decides if someone has a conflict, if a judge has a conflict and needs to recuse himself. This already happened prior to this trial starting. This is the digest. One, I'm reading from the decision on May 4th, 2023. One, a judge's impartiality cannot be reasonably questioned based on A, political contribution made more than 2 years ago, or B, the business and or political activities of the judge's first degree relative. Now, let me give you an example of that. My parents vote for Trump. They're diehard Trumpers. You're saying that my parents couldn't, or like if my dad was a judge, he shouldn't be able to be a judge because of my political beliefs that have nothing to do with my parents being diehard Trumpers. You cannot hold one human accountable for another human's beliefs, Dell. I know you know that. And I just want to make it clear. Opinion 23-54, the New York Ethics Commission. This is the ruling. Prior to this trial starting, this was adjudicated. There is no conflict. The judge
So,
had a
okay,
child who is
I
a
agree with you.
separate human
Okay,
being from the
I don't.
judge.
Okay, God. Okay, so if he
You're
wasn't running for,
frustrated with me. Dale, you're the one who
no, it's
got.
just
You're the
long,
mark. I'm the only
just
frustration you're
long.
hearing from me, Dale, is that you refuse to
I got it.
learn.
I got it. I got it. I don't
Okay,
learn.
so you
One
got that you're
question.
wrong. Do you
Yes,
grasp
yes.
that?
Oh, absolutely. So here's the thing. If he wasn't running for president, would they have charged him?
This couldn't have been this is only a crime because he was running for president. If he wasn't running for president, it wouldn't have been a crime, Dale. It's
No,
only a crime
this is
because he
from
was running for president when
2016.
this happened.
This
You
is
get
from
that, right? If
2000.
I did it or you
This
did
is
it,
from
not a crime.
2016, not 2020,
Yeah,
not
and while
2024.
wait, yeah, and Dale, when did Michael Cohen go to jail for this?
I don't know.
2018. And when was he who was listed as a co-conspirator?
My question wasn't
Trump. And
this.
why did they not go after Trump during that time at the same time as Michael
I don't
Cohen?
know. I guess
Well,
the
I
question.
do. So listen, Dale, now listen,
Okay,
because
why?
here's the
Because he was
answer.
president.
No, yes. And the attorney general said you cannot prosecute a sitting president.
Okay,
You
so
have to
why
wait
didn't
until
Cohen?
after they leave office. Is he out of office now?
No. Yes. So why
Yes.
didn't
And
Cohen?
so does it make sense, Dale, that this is when they would prosecute him?
Yes, makes a lot of
Okay,
sense.
great.
Okay, so then why didn't Cohen? Because his lawyers is stating this. His lawyers actually come out and stated this, that he's asking for him to flip on Trump, right? Give me the info on Trump. And he says, I don't have any. To get
Yeah,
out
he
of
was
his
lying.
conviction.
That's what he was
To
lying
get out of
about.
his conviction. Well, he said to his
Oh,
own
well,
lawyer, I
no.
don't have
Hold on,
anything.
hold on, hold on,
You
hold
got
on.
your timeline wrong
First,
there.
first fact. You're talking about Costello. Costello was never Trump's technical lawyer. What
No,
happened
he's
was,
Cohen's.
no, hold on. No, I mean, sorry, Cohen's technical lawyer, he never retained him. Robert Costello was trying to get Michael Cohen to retain him. That's when the emails of Costello's, which are entered into evidence already, those mob-like emails we read yesterday, where he's like, I have a friend who has a client, right? Because Costello was Rudy Giuliani's friend. Rudy Giuliani, after Michael Cohen was, got by the feds, became Trump's personal attorney. So he said, I have a friend meeting Rudy Giuliani who has a client meeting Trump. And that's when all of that shady talk happened. But Michael Cohen never retained Costello. And let me tell you an interesting story that we all might learn something. Costello came before the grand jury. I don't know if you guys remember this, but right before this indictment came down, I learned a lot of things about trials from Trump being indicted. It's customary for the prosecution to contact the person who may be indicted's lawyers and say, it's the final hour. The grand jury's going to vote. It's looking like they're going to vote to indict you. If there is any information or witness, or you would like to come in and speak on your behalf to the grand jury, if you have anything that could change the facts of this and change the way the grand jury might vote whether or not to indict you, now's the time. And Trump said, I got a guy. And guess who the guy was? Costello came into the grand jury of this trial, gave all of his testimony of all that stuff, right? And then guess what happened? The grand jury's like, guess it didn't matter because they voted to indict anyways. And I think Andrew Weissman made a good point on this. He said, I thought that was crazy that Costello went in, because if he had anything good enough that could get Trump off, why let the prosecution hear what it is a year before? The prosecution has had a year to whatever that information was to refute it or to decide if that information was relevant enough to backtrack in some way, and it's not.
Okay.
And they have entered Costello's emails with Michael Cohen into the record. They are evidence.
Yes. So I'm not arguing with he's going to be convicted, right? I believe that from the moment it went to trial in New York, right? And you can think that it's not a biased jury or whatever, and it shouldn't have been change of venue, whatever, right? But where it is, he's convicted. He was convicted before they started the case. But my question is, he is going to have people that won't vote for him. Like, I'm not going to vote for him because he's a felon, right? But then if they overturn it on appeal, that appeal is not going to happen until after the election, right? So you will have a lot of people that will refuse to vote for him because he's a convicted felon. So that's a win, right? That's a win for the Biden side, because he will lose votes because of that.
Yeah, but you guys had an opportunity to put up somebody else, knowing all the charges that. Wait, hold on.
Weren't able to do that.
Hold on. You guys had an opportunity to put up somebody else, knowing what all these charges were, knowing what the evidence, at least from the indictments, were. MAGA had the opportunity, Republicans had the opportunity, and they chose to go along with this. That was their choice. So I'm sorry, like, if it doesn't work out for you, you could have put up somebody else. This could have been no problem. This could have been an election that was, frankly, not that hard to win, and you guys chose your worst possible candidate, the worst possible one.
You know what? I don't think that the Republicans chose him. I think the Dems chose him for us.
That doesn't make any sense. You guys
sure,
were
the more
voting.
you charged him, the more
you guys should have ran Nikki
came to his
Haley.
defense,
This would not be
right?
this would not be a contest if Nikki Haley was the Republican candidate. She would win. All polls said that she would win. She still, to this day, just got 20+% in the Indiana primary, months and months and months after she's out of the race, and still is polling 22%. You guys could have ran Nikki Haley.
What does that say about the Republican Party, though, Dale? That,
well,
like,
we could. They're not
hold
very
on,
bright.
hold on. Let me finish. Yeah, that we can play them like that. Like, if it was us, if we caused this, what does that say about Republican voters? They're that dumb?
Yes.
Like, they just fall for it? All right. That's
yes.
fair enough. I agree with you. I agree. But I think it's a silly.
Yes.
But do you also agree it's a silly reason to vote for Trump? Like, that's just people voting for Trump because they don't like liberals. They don't want liberals to be right. That's kind of silly.
You don't think people are coming to his defense because of what's happened to him? I
do, and I think that that's silly.
Yes,
Dale,
but they
at
do
what
do
point
it, right?
does personal accountability kick in? Dale, do you believe that he had sex with Stormy Daniels?
I don't care, and I don't know.
No, but do you believe, Dale? Come on, okay, that's a yes. Do you believe that he himself in a civil trial in California admits to reimbursing Michael Cohen? So, I mean,
again,
he himself
I'm not arguing with
admits
the
it
fact
happened.
that he will be. I'm
Okay,
not arguing with the fact
so
that he'll
then
be
my
found
question
guilty.
to you is, based on that, Do you understand that these are self-inflicted wounds? No one did this to Donald Trump. No one made Donald Trump be a serial adulterer. At what point does Donald Trump need to take responsibility for Donald Trump? That's my question.
Yeah, he's not a good candidate. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he is. He's the best candidate the Dems could have ran against. The best. And he's the candidate the Dems wanted to run against. Don't tell me you didn't want to run against
Oh,
Donald
for
Trump.
sure,
100%.
we
Yeah.
wanted Donald Trump. I'm telling you, it would not be a race if Nikki Haley was. You'd be seeing a whole different me. Like, yeah, we could not beat Nikki Haley. We
I mean,
can
but
beat Donald Trump. We have a chance.
So
The difference here is
so
the-
let's just agree that
Oh.
he'll be found guilty.
I don't know about
Let's
that.
just
I mean,
agree that he'll be found guilty. Get the
It
trial
just takes
done.
one, Dale. It
and-
just takes one person. You never know.
Oh, no,
I
no.
really
He'll be
don't
found
know
guilty.
that he will be found guilty. I don't know that. None of us know. You just need one person.
Okay. Okay. So my next question, it has nothing to do with that because, like I said, that's kind of a distraction, right? My question is, why is Joe Biden out there telling people that inflation was 9% when he took office?
Oh my gosh,
He
Dale.
misspoke. It hit 9% not that long after he took office. It was on the way up when he took office. It wound up hitting 9%. He misspoke. Did it go to 9%?
After he was in office.
Yeah.
In 2022, inflation was at 9%. I'll say this, Dale. He misspoke more than once. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
So
and when
they're
you
not lies,
misspoke,
they're
when you
misspoke.
when you misspeak 3-4 times, it looks very shady, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I've made that same claim that
No, it doesn't look shady. It just looks like the line.
like 2 weeks ago.
I
think
remember.
I made that exact
I
same
remember
claim.
what you did.
Yeah, and then we looked up. I was like, okay, it's been like
No,
okay, it was like a year
and
later.
I said, because I know Donald Trump's average inflation over his presidency was 2.1%. Like that's how I knew that wasn't true, that it wasn't at 9% when Trump left office, because I know his average inflation rate. But yeah, that is true. Jay did make that mistake one day also, and
I didn't think I was
he's-
lying. I remembered it was at 9% at its highest. I was like, when was it seemed like that was when COVID was at its peak. And then I'm like, when you think about it, you're like, okay, well, that inflation wouldn't come at the same time COVID was at its peak. It would be on a delay. That's how inflation works. That makes sense. So again, like this is like you
Okay,
you
so
even bringing
it wasn't
that
a
up
lie.
is just
He just
no. Maybe it was, but probably not, right? What do you think?
Just,
you think
he just did the interview.
I know, but do you think like what's the benefit of him saying it was 9% when I took office versus it was 9% a year later? What's the benefit there?
No benefit other than it's under his policies at that point.
Well, it's not really though, right? Because inflation isn't immediate. Inflation is reactionary, right?
Joe Biden, did he give us some
No, but
relief
right,
from the?
but like it's
Yeah,
reactionary,
it's not
right?
immediate. You're right. It's not
Yeah, yeah.
immediate. But did
So
Joe Biden?
so
give
if
us-
we look at it honestly, can you really blame Joe Biden for 9% inflation?
I guess not. It's all Trump's
Not really.
fault.
Yeah.
It's all.
But
So
it's
then-
it's more about
It's not Trump's
the question
fault,
is
but,
why
yeah.
is he saying that, right? Is it a lie or not? I just want to direct
did-
everyone
what
for a
did
really
Trump
good
and
fact
Biden
check
both
on
do?
this. Let me just give everyone an article that they can
Let's
reference.
fact check the 9%.
There's a good fact check on this that the Washington Post did. I had it in the outline a couple days ago, but we didn't get to it. It's called Biden's false claim that inflation was 9% when he took office. And he said it like
He
said it
misspoke.
like 3 times. No, Dale, I'm
Three
telling
times
you,
he misspoke.
why are you? I feel like you're being sarcastic. I'm being genuine here. I was giving you a
I'm
resource.
agreeing with you.
He said that. I don't know if he really believed it or if he's just lying.
believed
I
it.
do not know the answer to that question. But this just backs up. I'm giving you a reference that backs up what you're saying.
Let me ask you,
And it
guys,
has the quotes. And it has
why
the
did
quotes and
inflation
it goes
happen
through the
right then
times
and
he
there?
said it.
why did the inflation happen? Do you guys know why it happened?
Yeah. Well, we know the number one indicator,
What is it?
corporate profits.
Okay. So what
Wait, no, it
actually
is.
did-
That's true.
okay, let me help you. What actually did both those presidents do around COVID relief? What did they do?
You're talking about the spending around COVID relief?
Yeah. So what did Trump drop
That's
down?
not what that
Trump-
wasn't the
Trump
number one
threw
driver
about,
of
what did
inflation.
Trump throw
though,
out
Dale.
there? About 800 billion?
I
right?
don't know what the total. Yeah,
And then he
something
was
like that.
followed. Then he was followed up with Biden dropping
Mm-hmm.
1.9 trillion.
Yeah.
They gave that to the population. Is
Yeah.
1.9 trillion and 800 billion a lot of money?
Yeah.
When you drop that and then you cut production by shutting down the economy, so
Yeah.
goods are scarce, what do
Yeah.
prices do?
Well, the economy wasn't
Everybody's
No,
got money,
Dale,
but not a lot of
Dale,
goods.
All right, hold
please
on.
don't give us a
So
half
Dale,
economics lesson.
Dale, here's the problem with your argument. Uh, everything you're saying is true, but it still doesn't refute what I said, that the number one driver, the 40% of inflation was caused by corporate profits. And do you know what standard corporate profits, how much that affects inflation? Usually less than 10%, right around 10%. It went to 40% and it's still going. All these corporations are making record profits. Record profits. They're firing people and doing stock buybacks, making record profits and raising the price of goods, despite the fact that the cost of goods hasn't gone up near as much as the price of goods. So I agree with you, Dale, that those actions were inflationary, but to me, those are good actions. The whole country's not working. People need money. Give them money. Like I'm okay with some inflation when our government causes inflation by giving money to people who can't work. But what like my big problem is why nobody's saying, hey, how about the corporations don't gouge the fuck out of us when we're going through a pandemic? How about Congress does its job and put checks on these corporations? Why don't we have monopoly rules? Why don't we have rules regarding how much they can charge us for things? Why don't we have rules about stock buybacks while they're firing employees? I agree with you that that was inflationary, but that's good inflationary spending. If we're going to have inflation, at least it should go into the pockets of the people who need it most. But these corporate profits are the people who needed the money the least, and they got way more than our government gave us. Way more. They got way more in profits than our government gave us. So what we have to do is not pretend that only the government can cause inflation. It's not true. It's just an economy, and it's about the circulation of money. Can our government increase inflation? Yes. Were they the number one driver? Absolutely not.
And also, just the one factor I didn't hear mentioned, just the additional factor was the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, right? That was the other factor in what drove inflation to 9%. That's when energy skyrocketed. So there are many factors, right? And we, especially at that time, didn't understand the corporate profit thing, and now we do. We understand that it's inflation is it because of corporate profits and corporations' apparent willingness to, I guess, have no consumer responsibility anymore. Unless we hold them accountable, they're going to continue to do this. We have to stop blaming the government for what corporations are doing. We have to hold
Okay.
them accountable and show that we are aware of what's going on.
Okay. So they dropped almost $3 trillion. Trillion with a T. So how soon after they dropped, and he did it too, Trump and Biden, how soon after did we hit 9% inflation and 10% inflation? How soon? Pretty soon. It was pretty fast. So that was kind of a fast reaction because we had ships off the coast that weren't bringing in product. So we didn't have any products to buy, but we had a lot of money. So what happened? Well, corporations went, I'm going to raise the price because I can get it, right? Now, if it's corporate greed, why do we not have 10% inflation today if there continued to be this corporate greed? We had 10% inflation because we had huge amounts of cash.
Hold on, wait.
Did you
on
hear?
the
No,
economy
Dale.
without a lot of
Your
goods.
line of logic
Hold on.
collapsed.
Dale, you just said that you recognize some of the other inflationary aspects, some of the reasons that we were at 10% don't exist anymore, right? We're not still handing out stimulus. We have people who are back to work.
You said that
we
that
have
wasn't
certain.
why
We
we
have,
went to
hold on. Let me
10%.
answer the question. We have certain industries that are responsible. So now that we're down around like what are we almost like just under 4%
3.4.
inflation, 3.4 something like Now that we're around 3.4, like we could actually have inflation lower if we didn't have corporate greed, right? If we didn't
Much
have
lower.
corporate profits at an all-time high, inflation would actually be lower. I feel like Dale, like you're going out of your way to not look at the whole picture. Like, of course it's lower now. We're not handing out stimulus payments anymore. Of course not. Most companies
I
aren't,
thought
like,
that
some of
wasn't
the
the main
cost of goods
driver.
have come. No, the
No,
main
they're
driver
all
was corporate.
factors.
Yeah.
Well, they're
The
all
main
factors.
driver is
You told me
corporations
corporate greed
having
was the
record
biggest factor.
profits, laying people off, not rate. So they're raising their prices and they're not raising wages. At least not in a way to keep up with the prices, right? Inflation's outpacing wage growth. So if you increase your prices and don't increase wages, you're going to have inflation.
What would happen if we decided to drop another 3 trillion on the economy right now from the
Inflation
government?
would go up.
Can I just say something? Dale, you
How
have to
come?
be willing to have this conversation in good faith, because what you've done is you've decided, you've reverse engineered. You said it's the trillion stimulus, which then hold Trump accountable, right? Just as much as
Both of
like,
them.
okay, exactly. But I'm just saying that you've decided that's the answer to the conversation we're having, and now you're reverse engineering. It doesn't matter what Jay and I say anymore, because you just go, well, 3 trillion. You've already decided, so we can't
Is
talk
3
in good
trillion a
faith.
lot of money?
Nobody's arguing that, Dale. This is the thing. What we're saying is it wasn't the number one driver. And your argument of what if we did 3 trillion now? What would happen? Inflation would go up because it does impact inflation, but it is not the biggest impact on inflation. It's not. So if you put in, maybe if you put in like $100 trillion, that would be, let's say this, Dale. If you put in $3 trillion and 10 trillion, which one would be more inflationary, 3 trillion or 10 trillion?
The 10 trillion.
Why?
Because it's a lot of money.
Exactly.
Tap the screen,
And what do you,
guys. If you have a message for us, donate to us, and we will read them periodically throughout the show. Sorry, I forgot to say this. Keep tapping the screen. Do we have any messages? I don't think we
yeah,
ever
I'll
checked.
I'll get them in just a sec. But Dale, do you know what percentage of global household wealth billionaires held before the pandemic?
They actually got richer on the pandemic.
I know. Do you know? Okay, I'll just tell you. The number was 2%. Now it's 3.5%. So do you
Yeah,
think
I'm not going to
like,
argue with you
but
there.
and we're talking about global wealth, right? So you're talking
So how
about
did Dems help that?
hold on. You're talking about $3 trillion. I'm talking 1.5% of the global wealth is much higher than 3 trillion. That's why it's more inflationary, right?
Hmm.
Because either way, and by the way, most of that money that we put into our economy just went to this 1%, right?
Yes, it
Eventually,
did.
because we have trickle up economics. It doesn't ever trickle down. It just goes up to them.
Because
Yeah,
we
so
gave
that's
them,
what
we
caused
gave people
that was
money
the
and they
number
spent
one
it.
driver of inflation. So for me as an American citizen, I want my government to do the most impactful thing they possibly can to lower inflation, which would be to go after corporations, but they don't do it. And Trump is running on, I'm going to cut those guys' taxes and I'm going to deregulate. I want them to have more of the wealth.
Well, I don't think the Dems policies actually work to improve the situation of the working class.
Well, I
That's
disagree.
absolutely not true. The new budget does. It doesn't tax the working class, Dale.
Working class has already been taxed with 20% inflation under Biden.
20% inflation now?
Stop.
Yeah,
Where'd you just
prices
come
have gone
up
up
with 20%?
20% since Biden took office.
You said 20% inflation. It's up 20%. Okay, cool.
Prices are up 20%.
Yeah, and
Working
who's
class is not
responsible
gonna
for
be
that?
able-
Joe Biden or the corporations?
Oh, the evil, not the 3 trillion. I know it's not
Tell
the
me
3
how
trillion.
tell me how Joe Biden sets prices. Tell me.
He doesn't set prices.
Who sets the
but he
prices,
certainly
Dale?
can influence
Who
them
sets
by
the prices,
dropping
Dale?
$3
Let's do this.
trillion.
Come on, Dale. Who sets the
Dale
prices,
still
Dale?
believes the president controls
Stay-
gas prices.
Stay with me, Dale. Who sets the prices?
Corporations do.
Are corporations
The market does, actually.
whoa, almost
Market
there. No,
sets
not
the
the
price.
market. No, not the market,
Well,
because
sure it does.
they're bringing in record profits, right?
Because they can get it.
They can, yeah, by basically just burying the American people. And the government's role is to step in and make sure that doesn't happen. But every time Democrats step in and say, maybe we ought to tax these motherfuckers, you guys are like, no, we can't take more money from the billionaires. They can't have 100 billion or 80 billion. They need 100 billion.
Who got the
I mean,
$3
your
trillion
argument
that
doesn't
they
make
dropped?
any sense, Dale. The corporations set the price, and you're like, it's Joe Biden's fault. That's so stupid.
Market sets the prices.
The market does not set the price. That's a lie that you've
God.
been told.
The amount of
okay.
lies you believe.
Do you
Dale, do
sell
you not get
anything?
it? The same people are
Yeah.
robbing us. It's
Do you
billionaires.
sell anything?
Dale, you're
Yeah.
being robbed by the same people we are. And as
When it's
long as you
busy, do you
continue
lower
to
your
say it's
prices?
Democrats, we will all continue to be robbed. You're a mark, Dale.
Hold on. He's saying the market doesn't set prices. When it's busy, do you lower your
Not.
prices?
Not necessarily.
No, you don't. You make
could-
hay when
wait,
you can.
Wait, hold on.
When it's slow, do you lower your prices?
Not necessarily.
Oh, then
Oh.
you really don't understand market
No,
economics at all.
no, it matters on what what the cost of goods
You better
is
react to the market,
Dale,
or you're going to
Dale,
go out of
dummy,
business.
Dale, be quiet. It depends on the cost of goods to you, right? So I can't lower my prices if the cost of goods goes up, even if it's slow, right?
Sure, you can.
Oh, so I can just lose money?
Sure, you can.
I'll just lose money?
Take a lower profit margin.
No, zero profit margin. I
Take
just said
a lower profit
I can't
margin.
lower it past my cost
You
of
can
goods, or
if
I
you're
lose
China
money, right?
and you're subsidized by the Chinese government and slave
I say
labor,
that
but
they're gonna
that's the
sell it at a
only
loss?
answer where that works,
No,
Dale.
let's follow this logic. Can I always lower my prices? What if my margins are at their extreme? That's like I'm already at the break even, and then things slow down. Then what?
You're out of business.
Exactly. So the market doesn't always dictate it. But can you explain to me why the
Yeah, it does,
market?
'cause that's the market
Wait, hold
too.
on. Can you explain to me why the market is what dictated these price increases? Like, how does a country that's shut down, people whose wages aren't keeping up with inflation, that's the market, how did they dictate to these companies that the price should be higher?
Because we gave them $3 trillion in cash.
No. Try again. How did that
We
dictate
gave
to the
them
companies?
all a bunch of money.
Who made the choice?
RTP.
Okay, we'll try this again.
If they
Who
didn't
made
have the
choice to-
money, could
who
they
made
have
the choice
raised
to
the
raise the
prices?
prices? Who made the choice to
RTP.
raise the prices?
If we didn't give the money, could the corporations have raised the prices?
Yes.
How?
Dale, let me explain something
They're
to
still
you.
doing it now, and we're not giving them money.
Nobody
Dale.
would have had the money to buy it.
They're doing it now, and we're not handing out money.
They aren't doing it now.
They
They're
are.
not going.
Are you
10%
kidding,
increase
Dale?
on inflation.
Dale, you
No,
have
they're
to
still
know that
making
they're still doing
3.5.
it, right?
No, they're
doing
still making
3.5.
record profits.
Dale, you
I
have
just
no
I just
idea what you're
posted two
talking
different
about.
stories today of companies who have chosen to fire employees, get stock buybacks, issue dividends, and raise the price of goods while they're firing employees. Is that because of us, or is that because of their greed?
It's really not hard to figure out. It's supply and demand.
It's hard for
Dale,
you.
it's
It's hard for you,
yeah.
Dale. Dale, we're talking about a pandemic, a never before seen
RTP,
pandemic.
is it not
No, let me
supply and
finish.
demand?
Dale,
Our
stop
price is not
interrupting me.
set on supply and
Dale,
demand.
stop. You took not college econ. You somewhere heard the word supply and demand. You don't understand the complexity of what
Never
we're
heard
talking
of supply
about.
and demand?
Dale, just let me explain something simple to you though. The pandemic was a never before seen event, right? We literally had everyone out of work. Millions of people died. We had to give people money to pay their rent because why, Dale? Because wages, people aren't making enough, people aren't saving enough, people are living paycheck to paycheck, one medical emergency, and that's bankruptcy. That's how people are living. So when a never before seen pandemic occurred, we had to give the middle class and poor people money to survive because for years since 1980 Satan, Ronald Reagan started with this trickle down economics, nothing has been trickling down. That's what's going on, Dale. We've been robbed by the capitalists, the same people.
Okay. So what was the end
Not
result?
okay,
of
Dale.
giving-
What did I say? What did you learn from what I said?
I didn't really learn anything. So what was the end result of giving $3 trillion away?
He doesn't, Dale, you are not right.
What do you mean?
What
is-
happened to
I
prices?
don't know what to tell you. You are not right.
When you put more money into the system and then you limited the amount of goods that you could buy with that money, what do prices do? They go up rapidly. And
Dale-
what did we actually see? We saw a
Dale,
rapid
Dale,
rise in
have
inflation
a-
rate.
Dale, what you're saying right now, and I need to be clear. Every fucking economist in the world disagrees with you. and
Okay.
you are trying to use like a child's brain to explain economics. I understand to you in your head this makes sense, but it's like me saying, Dale, what do I do every morning, Dale? I wake up. Yeah, and what's the end result? There's the sun is outside.
That makes no sense.
Exactly, and that's what I'm
his
saying to
point
you
Dale.
is that you're taking
This
this
is talking
you're
in
taking this
circles. It's
tiny
really not that hard.
you're taking this tiny, like this smaller piece of the inflationary impact, and you're giving the tiny piece all the effect, and you're not looking at all the other inflationary pieces. You're not looking at everything else that drives inflation. You are just like, this is small brain conservative thinking, is that government spending is inflation. And that's what you guys all think it is. You think inflation is always just government spending. I know, because I was a conservative and I believed that. And that's what everybody said. But guess what? It's wrong. It's really, really fucking wrong. It's not always government spending. The government can contribute through spending to inflation, but they were not the number one driver. They were not even close to the number one driver. It was corporate profits. It was corporate profits, and you keep trying to link it back to the 3 trillion,
Yes.
which was years ago. If that was true, we wouldn't still see corporate profits going up and wages not keeping up.
RTP.
Would we? Would
Maybe
we,
I can
Dale?
try it this way.
Would
Maybe I
we,
can try it.
Dale?
No,
Would we
no,
still
no.
be seeing that?
No,
Dale?
no, no,
Okay.
no, God, no.
There you
RTP.
go then.
Maybe I can explain it this way.
No, stop trying to explain. And listen, this is the
If
thing.
I have
you're
$1 million,
you're the student. You're the student.
RTP, I'm
you
the
don't
student.
know
I am the
enough
student.
about this.
Yes,
You should
yes.
shut up and listen. You don't know
RTP.
enough about it.
If I
And
gave
you should
everybody
take macroeconomics. You should enroll at a
Okay, all
university
right.
and
Macro
learn
and
about
economics.
complex
Got it.
economics. You don't understand it. You have a child's mind looking at a
child's
complex
mind.
problem. Yes,
Got
Dale,
it.
that he's right about
understand,
that.
Felice.
You
Okay.
just you think repeating supply and demand and $3
Well,
trillion
all I know is
is
that
going to
inflation-
change that. You're wrong. It doesn't change that you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Cite me an economist
all
who
I
says
know
that
is
government
it-
spending was the driver
All
of,
I know
of
is
inflation.
inflation was
I don't care.
9% when Biden took office.
Yeah, Dale, literally, that is all you know. I agree with you. That's all you
9%
know. And
when
so
it-
you
when
should
Biden took
so
over, it
now
was
that that's all
9%.
you know, you should be quiet after that part and learn why. Because
I also
all
have
you
another
know is
question I wanna
inflation went up. That's it. That's all
I
you
got-
know.
I
That we
agree with
gave
you.
money to the
Stop
economy.
yelling at me. You're hysterical now.
And that it went
Stop
to
being
9%.
hysterical. Stop being hysterical. I got another question for you.
No.
Why
No,
did Biden, this one I didn't understand. Why did
bet.
Biden just recently claim executive
Thus
privilege
pivots.
on
Do you
the,
realize this is the fourth
Yeah, I'm convinced.
point
I'm
he was
convinced.
wrong
It's corporate
on,
greed.
and then he just goes,
Corporate greed.
"Okay,
It's
next
McDonald's
question,
fault.
next asinine point that I'm gonna
I
make
got
you
it. It's
guys
McDonald's
suffer
fault.
through."
those damn hamburger places? Okay,
Yeah.
my next question is,
Yeah.
why did
Sorry, you got muted. Let's not mute him, guys, please.
Biden, this is another question, I couldn't figure out what the point was. Why did Biden not claim executive privilege on releasing the transcripts to his testimony in the top secret document case? Why does he not allow the release
You
of that?
just said a lie, Dale, so I'm going to tell you what the truth is.
Well,
Dale,
what
he did not
he
claim
release it?
executive privilege over the transcripts. The transcripts were delivered to Congress months ago. You just don't read, so you don't know that. I have the Robert
Whoa.
Hur interview transcripts right now on my computer. We've all
So they
had
can
them
be
for
read?
months. You just don't know how to read. What he claimed executive privilege over were the recordings.
Oh, well, why?
It doesn't matter why. First of all, we know everything that was said. Why do we
What do you
need
mean
them?
It doesn't matter. We want to hear
David.
it in his
Yeah,
own
David.
words.
David. When you request
Because you
something,
can't read.
when you request
Just
something,
release it in its own
hold on.
words.
When you request something, you need a legitimate reason. What's the legitimate reason that they need those tapes, Dale?
They're requesting it. I don't know
No,
what.
why?
Why not release it? Trump released the phone call.
Dale, do you think that in this country you should just get that Congress should just get access to anything they ask for and they don't need a
If you
legitimate
say you're
reason?
transparent, then
No, I'm
yes.
wondering, Dale, don't deflect. Do you think Congress should just be able to get whatever they want, whenever they want? Or do you think they need a legitimate reason to subpoena tapes that they don't own, that they have no right to? Why do they get those tapes?
If he's released, I
No,
don't know.
why? Why
I
do
don't
they?
know. You tell me.
Yeah, I know you don't know. That's the problem, Dale. And until you have a good answer, then it doesn't matter. Until you can explain to me why Republicans need those tapes, then don't be upset about it. You don't even know why you're upset. You were just told to be upset about something.
If you would like to know why I want them,
You didn't
I'll
even
tell
know
you.
they already have the transcripts. Dale,
If you want me
this
to,
is, let
if
me
you
just
want
tell
me
you
to know
something.
why I want them,
Transcripts
I'll tell
are
you.
also Joe Biden's own words.
And I'll tell you
guys
also
just
why
don't
he
know
doesn't
how to
want them
read.
released.
You don't
He
know.
doesn't
you
want
don't,
them
no,
released.
Dale, hold on. I will allow you to tell me why you want them released, but you have
Because
no
I
idea
want
what Joe
to
Biden
hear
thinks.
how he answers the questions in
Why?
his own words, how
Why?
he sounds, and how he delivers each answer. Because
Why?
it tells me a lot about the man.
What? What does it tell you?
Well, if he acts like he doesn't know where he's at, I can understand at that point where he's at.
Then go read it.
I can't tell that off words being written.
I
can
can't tell
out
that
it.
from words. Yeah,
Yeah.
if the words make sense in context, then you can tell it, Dale.
All right, here's a good example.
Dale,
I encourage you to learn to read. This is
This is
not just
exactly-
Dale. Everyone in here who's MAGA, you can read the transcripts right now.
And I just want to point out, this is exactly why Congress wants these tapes, so that they can put out clips and they can hold another bullshit hearing and they can talk about tone and they can say, look, he tripped over his words right here. He must be lying. That's the only reason they want the tapes, dude. They want this for publicity. The same reason you do, because her investigation ended with them saying, sorry, no crime. And the Republicans are like, fuck, we really thought we were going to get a crime out of that. So what's the next best thing we could do? Let's just smear him some more. If you want to talk about election interference, you want to talk about a weaponized government, we know exactly what he said. We've got the transcripts. They only want that so that they can smear him further, which is the only reason you want it.
No, actually, no. RTP, when I read a speech that's, if I read the speech, is it the same if I sat and listened to it being delivered?
Yes.
The content is the same, yes.
Do I get the same impact out of both?
I don't know.
It depends
Well,
on if you
if
can
you
read,
sit and
Dale.
you
It all
listen to
goes back
somebody
to the
give a
same
speech.
thing, is whether or not you can read.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold on.
No, Dale,
If
I think you could
sit
get...
and you
I
listen
think
to
you-
a speech,
Yeah.
is it the same as sitting down and reading it?
Yeah, you'll get more out of reading it than the speech.
Really?
Yeah, because
Suppose that
you're not
person-
distracted by emotion. You're not
Yes, as
distracted
a
by
reader.
by
Okay.
somebody
Suppose
changing their
Reading
voice.
paints
Would
a
I-
better
You can
picture.
you can
Would
take
I be able
you
to
can
tell
take
what the
just the
speaker's
info.
like?
Dale, I wasn't Dale. That's the middle of my sentence. You can take just the information that was given to you, and you can read it word for word, and you don't have to
Okay.
worry about being,
Right.
being tricked by somebody's tone.
Oh, trick. Yeah. So would I be able to tell what the speaker's like by reading the speech?
Have you
You-
read a book, Dale? Dale,
yeah,
have you
sure.
ever read a book? What,
Sure,
are you joking right now? I'm worried
no,
for
no.
you. Have
Suppose
you read a
somebody-
book? Have you read a book? And has it painted a picture in your mind? You
Yes,
know-
it has painted
yes,
a picture
Dale.
in my
Yeah.
mind. But is that the same thing as watching it live?
Yeah, sometimes the book's better. In fact,
Yeah,
most of the time,
but
what
is
what
it the-
what
is it
when
the
is a
same as
movie-
watching it
when has the
live?
movie ever been better than the book?
Books are always better than the movie every time. Everyone who reads books knows this.
Why
The
do
fact
they give speeches then? Why don't they just hand them out in
Because
written
people
form?
like you are
you
too
don't
lazy to read.
We just told you.
So in order for them,
Oh, all
in order
right.
for you to hear it, they have to speak it. What do you think they
Gotcha.
did before we had radio and TV? How do you think people knew what the president said before that?
Oh,
They
that,
read
that
it.
explains why he
They
won't.
read
They
words.
read.
Yeah. That explains why he won't release the audio.
Can I
Recordings
just
of
tell
his
you the
interview.
real? Can I tell you guys the real reason? Because I actually read things and I know.
That's radio.
So again, no. Let me just tell you why what the logic is that is actually out there. So the DOJ.
I don't see
this
how
whole
it would hurt him.
Dale, stop talking when I'm talking. So what the real
So
thing
long, though,
is
Felicia. Oh, for
this
so
he.
long.
Anyways, so what the real thing is this was a voluntary interview. Donald Trump claims executive privilege over anything. He
You guys
never
get
would have
so excited.
stop talking while I'm talking.
See?
He never would have given the interview. Joe Biden volunteered to sit down and give this interview. He didn't have to do it. What Merrick Garland is saying is because of executive privilege, no one ever in the White House has to cooperate because of executive privilege. And if they ever want hope that the White House will sit down with the DOJ and be forthcoming, right? They've given enough transparency. You have the transcript. You can have AI read you that transcript on an iPad. I have a British voice named Oliver. Read me mine. You could hear it and have it read to you if you feel like you learn better that way. I do understand that. If you're saying if you hear it, you take it in better, and you can do that with AI. But the fear is if this is used months before an election to say mock his stutter or make the case that he's not fit to be president, never again in the future will a sitting president cooperate with an investigation, because it will later be used to mock a stutter or smear him in a campaign. So if we want presidents to be forthcoming with information and volunteer for investigations, right, we need to be reasonable and say, we have word for word everything said in that interview available
Boy,
and
this is
have for
long.
months, Dale, and that is enough. It was a voluntary interview, which the result
it.
was there's not enough evidence to charge him.
Oh
End
my
of
God.
story, Dale. End of
I get
story.
it. So you're saying it's
End of
more
story.
transparent. I got it. End of story. You're saying it's more transparent not to release the audio recordings of the interview. It's more transparent because it's already been released on transcript, and there would be nothing that anybody could get from listening to the audio recording of the actual
Oh, I
interview.
said that you
Nothing
can have
nothing can
AI
be
read you
pulled
the
from that.
transcript.
AI instead of
If
the
you need
actual
to hear
person
someone
we
read
could
it,
listen to.
you can do that too, Dale. But you would also
Because
know
Joe
you would
Biden,
have
by the
to know
way,
how to
is
do
the
that as
most
well. Dale,
transparent
you can't read and you
president we
don't
have
know
ever
how
had.
to have an AI voice read to you. What do you want me to
Why do
do?
I need an
Hey, please do not,
Why do I
mods,
need an
do
AI
not, don't
voice
mute,
when I've
please.
got actual Joe Biden's own voice? Why would I need an AI voice? What possible reason?
I'll tell you why, Dale. Because you don't have the tapes of Joe Biden, and you're too fucking lazy to read. So your only option, if you want it to be read to you, is AI.
Oh, because I'm
That's
lazy.
why.
I'm lazy and I can't
Correct.
read.
No,
The
I don't know if you
American
can
public is
read. I said you're
lazy,
lazy and you
can't
don't read.
That is
Well, you
why
didn't
they are
even know
not
the
releasing the
transcripts were
audio
out. When
recordings
you came
of
up
the
here, you
interviews.
lied and said he claimed executive
That's it, huh?
privilege over
No
the
other reason?
transcripts, which was a
No.
lie.
Yeah, Dale, you started with the wrong premise. You came up here and said we didn't have the transcript. Then once you found out the transcripts existed, you changed. You're like, oh, never mind. I need to hear it in his words. From the start of your argument, you've already changed
Why can't we
positions,
hear it from
which
his
makes
own
me
words?
think that you don't really care about this. By the way, did you have a problem? I didn't hear much from you when Donald Trump was claiming executive privilege over his documents, which he's done. And I don't hear you complaining about every time Donald Trump going under oath, he just invokes the fifth. You guys don't give a shit about any of that. Biden sat down for the
Why
interview.
are we
Has Trump
pivoting
done
to
that?
Donald
No.
Trump?
Biden allowed the special
Why are we
investigator into
pivoting?
his house and showed him around. Did Trump do that? No, but you don't care. The only reason that the Republicans want
what
these
the hell are we
tapes
doing here?
is so they can smear Joe Biden, and that's what you want them for too. But there's
Oh
no
for
reason for
five,
Joe Biden
Dale.
to
Oh
hand
for
those over
five.
until you
What
can point
reason
to a
would he
crime.
not
Until
want to
you can
release them?
point to a crime that he committed, there's no reason for him to turn them over. Why should he have to turn them over
Well,
if he
first
didn't
of
commit a
all,
crime? Why?
Okay, so he wasn't. They didn't say he didn't commit a crime.
Yes, they did.
Oh no, they said
Oh,
they didn't
yes.
want to charge
Oh
him.
yes,
They
Dale.
said they didn't want to charge him because he was old
Bro.
with memory problems.
That's not
and they
what it
figured they
said.
couldn't get
That's
a
not
conviction.
what it said,
They
Dale.
didn't
You
say what
haven't
he
read.
did was
You
legal.
didn't know the
Proof.
transcripts existed. You have not read them. You are wrong.
Dude,
I don't
Dale,
want
you
to
literally,
read them.
Dale,
I
let
want
me
to
just,
hear it from
Dale,
his
I'm
own
just
He
gonna
just
help
mouth.
said
you
he
here.
doesn't want to read them.
Dale,
He's
I'm gonna
making
help you
stuff
here.
up.
You are repeating lies. That's not true. He specifically said that there was no evidence of a crime. And then he added, because he's a prick, he added, and besides, if we did take it to the trial, the jury would find him sympathetic because he's old. That part is irrelevant. Robert Hur does not have the ability to make that judgment. And I don't think a prosecutor, a Republican appointed special prosecutor, should choose not to bring something to trial because he thinks a jury might be sympathetic. If you read the transcripts, which you didn't, you would know that he said there was no evidence to warrant a crime here or to even take this to trial. And the Republicans now have this transcript, and with this transcript, they haven't been able to figure out a way to impeach Joe Biden because there's nothing there. So the only reason they want these audio tapes is so they can smear him. And what they will do if they somehow win this case and they get access to these tapes, I promise you, what they will do is hold a hearing and clip a bunch of shit, and nothing will change. I will bet you $10,000 if they get these transcripts, the only thing they'll do is hold a hearing, and Fox News will talk about it for 2 weeks, and no charges will ever come. And if you're Joe Biden and you've already gone through this case, you've already done everything, why would you give them ammunition to campaign on? Tell us what the crime is first, and then you can get those tapes. But until you can point to a crime, you don't get the tapes. This is America, dude. You don't just get what you want so you can smear somebody. You don't get to go try and search through somebody's history to find a crime. That's not how our process works.
Really?
Really?
Do you hear what you're saying, Dale? What you
So-
just said is someone should be able to
no more
reverse
monologue.
engineer a crime.
No.
You said
no.
really?
Okay, got it.
Yes,
got it,
really.
Got it.
You're not supposed
agree,
to
I agree,
reverse
I agree,
engineer
I
someone's
agree.
guilt, Dale.
Oh God, I
really.
agree.
Dale,
So here's
I
my
need
next
you to
question.
understand
How is
something.
that? How is that
Shut up, Dale.
transparent?
Shut up, Dale. Shut up. I need
Oh,
you to just
okay.
recognize your own behavior. I just spoke for probably 3 minutes and you were quiet.
I know you did.
And the second Felice opens her mouth every time, you get upset. If you're not a misogynist, then you just look like one.
Okay.
But every
all
time
right. It's
Felice
'cause she's a
opens her
woman.
mouth,
I got it.
every time
I
she
got it.
opens her mouth, you get
Sure.
visibly
I'll cut you
upset.
off too, by the way. You guys
You
monologue
didn't
for
though,
hours.
but you haven't been. You've been letting me
monologue
speak.
for hours. I'm
Yeah,
cutting
and
you off
you
right
shut
now.
up when I talk.
I'm not shutting up. Do you hear me shutting
Well,
up?
now you're not. Yeah, now that you've been called
Oh,
off,
now-
you're like,
now
oh,
you're
I
not.
better,
Now you're not.
I better,
Now
I
you're
better do
not.
it to Jay too. I can't just
Oh,
do it to
okay.
Felice.
All right. Okay. So how is it transparent?
No, but I don't care about transparency. What are you talking about?
Why not? Joe is the most transparent president. He says it his own self. He says
I
it.
don't care. Yeah, you don't get access to things you have no right to.
How do you not want to release that to the American
Because
people?
Because there's no reason.
Why not? It's
All right,
not
I
transparent.
sorry, Dale.
It shows that
you
you're
got flagged, Dale. I don't know why you got flagged, but you got flagged.
Yeah, this is the thing. If anyone wants to come up and continue Dale's argument, fine, and say transcripts literally are transparent, right? Like you can't get more transparent than word for word every single thing that was said in that interview. But no, if you want to come up and continue Dale's argument, you better, part of that argument also must be it's so wrong that Donald Trump didn't sit down for 5 hours and talk about his classified documents. That better be the next thing out of your mouth. If you're demanding transparency from one president, then we need to discuss the least transparent lying president of all time. Like that's the next step in your line of logic. You have every word of the voluntary interview Joe Biden sat down for in relationship to him voluntarily alerting NARA to his people finding documents. That's what Joe Biden did. That's transparency. You have Donald Trump not only not cooperating, he has other people in jail because they're not cooperating and claiming executive privilege for him. But I didn't hear a word from Dale about Donald Trump's transparency. It's the weirdest thing.
Reek in Texas, will you respond to Jen if you're opposition? And then I need to read some comments here. Ashley said, Felice and Jay, have a nice weekend. Thanks for all your hard work. Poem in the Discord chat. Let me pull that up. This sucks. I'm not. Okay. I'm going to try. David Pecker picked a peck of Playboy plots. A peck of plots David Pecker picked. If David Pecker picked a peck of plots to purchase, how many more pecks of plots did David Pecker purchase?
That was
That wasn't bad.
good. That was much. That was good.
One slip up.
David Pecca Plot.
I feel like my
That
mic
was
is covered
good.
in spit. Sully says, "What happened to the frog that parked illegally?
He was run over.
It got towed.
Toad. Ah,
TOAD.
that's a good
That's
one.
good.
You
Sully.
got toad.
And Stacy says, just aspirin. That's it. Just aspirin. Uh,
I need some Aleve.
uh, from Tip Top. Okay, add Dell to the no list. Okay, I like Dell.
No
Dell,
list.
Dell,
That's all right.
I do like you, but you have a problem with Felice speaking. You do have a problem with that.
Yeah, I know.
Rick in Texas,
It's
did you respond to Jen? I don't know. Are you opposition Rick in Texas if you're there?
Did you look at? Let's see.
I can't see their profile because I'm hosting, so I can't click past. I can't look at their
Oh,
content to kind of make a decision. Does anybody know Rick in Texas?
Reek's following me. So that doesn't mean anything
It
though.
also doesn't
Most of
give it
my
away.
followers are Republicans.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep going. We got like 30 minutes before we do open panel. So, do we want to cover? Maybe we talk about Jasmine Crockett.
I need to drop and come back. I hear a crazy echo. I hear
Okay.
your voice echoing over and over.
Okay. If memory serves, he's out Regan, Texas, posting weird stuff. Oh, everybody's saying yes to. Yeah, that's right. That's my future wife. Everybody stay away from Jasmine Crockett, okay? She's saving herself for a third-rate TikToker. I heard that's what she wanted, is a
And you
third-rate
know it.
TikToker.
I like Jasmine Crockett long before you did.
Yeah, but you're not
And
going
you
to do
did the
anything
same
about it.
thing to me about Caitlin Collins too. Like I liked her first, and then all
Okay,
of
you
a
can have
sudden you
Caitlin
started
Collins.
like her. Nope. I'll
Yeah,
take Jasmine.
I don't like that.
I love Jasmine Crockett. Anyways, so what happened with Reek? What did we decide?
Oh, Regan. We'll just try. It's all right.
Okay.
If you're not opposition, Jen will just kick you. So
Crockett is my
we'll try.
queen. Me too.
I don't know how I didn't understand when people were saying Reek. I was like, Reek? Who's Reek? I don't know how I
Oh,
didn't pick that up. Yeah.
from
Well, Reekin timed out. So Reekin, if you're still here, you can come back. But let's talk Jasmine, should we?
Yeah, we can if you want. Do you want to do? We can talk about. We can go through those clips, or we can continue on with the testimony we're talking about, or we could go through an article that goes into the cross examination in more detail. It really depends on. We only have. We're doing an hour, right? Of I can't hear you. You're muted.
Between an hour and 45 minutes, yeah. So we have between 15 and 30 minutes.
Okay, so what do you guys want to hear about? Do you guys want to watch the clips from the hearing? Because I have them. There was a fight last night. What happened was this. I mean, it's super disrespectful, but like we said, this is actually, I guess it's appropriate. We were arguing with Dale about this because that's what it's about. It's because they were going to hold Merrick Garland in contempt. Even though they already have the transcripts, they said they wanted the audio recordings. What I was telling you guys about the logic of this was a voluntary interview that led to no charges. They gave them the word for word transcripts. Again, like the argument from the Department of Justice is just we're never going to have cooperation with the White House again in any matter if we're not reasonable about this. And then after that, Biden claimed executive privilege over them. So there was a judiciary hearing and an oversight and accountability hearing scheduled yesterday. And then there were the red tie brigade that showed up at court. A lot of those people, the majority of the red tie brigade yesterday who were in Congress were supposed to be in either the Judiciary Committee hearing or the Oversight and Accountability hearing. So many, it was pretty much the free dumb caucus, right? Like the Andy Biggs, Lauren Boebert, all these people. And they're primarily, they negotiated themselves positions on oversight and accountability. So because they were all in New York, the Oversight and Accountability hearing got pushed. They didn't have the hearing until they all got back. So literally at like 9 p.m. at night, these people are all about to fist fight each other, basically on Capitol Hill. I mean, there's been some fights in Congress, but Margarine, the last person on earth who should be attacking people's physical appearance, decided to attack Jasmine Crockett's physical appearance, and all hell broke loose soon after that.
Well, let's show. Do you want me to bring up your backup?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's, I'm gonna request just.
There you go. Marge needs more water. She's dehydrated. I didn't know she was so dehydrated. She just needs to go. Marge just needs to go. I saw her talk about Trump being up 10 in Georgia.
I tried
Okay.
to accept your guest request. I requested again. It didn't
Okay.
seem to. I pushed accept.
There we go. To Felice. While you're pulling that up, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Okay, just once. This should take only a couple seconds. I should have it already pretty much teed up. I think it's this one. I think this is the first one.
I now recognize the ranking member. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I think this should be good. Okay. Okay, again, so just keep in mind, like, the reason tensions are so high is because all of these people basically had to work like a 20-hour workday. This hearing was scheduled for much earlier in the day, but because the Free Dumb Caucus decided to show up at that trial, stand outside and peddle, and violate the gag order for Donald Trump, they missed the hearing and it had to be pushed back. So everybody was furious, okay? And JB Raskin was absolutely, I mean, no shock here. JB Raskin was fabulous. And if we get to it after this, I'll show you Eric Swalwell. He's on Judiciary, which they held at the right time yesterday. And he was fabulous too.
I now recognize the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, in this special nighttime episode, we resume the Madcap comedy mystery
Night
series
Court.
called Comer's High Crimes and Misadventures, the hilarious quest to impeach a president who has done nothing wrong, an avowedly low-budget but multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded production, which most Americans assumed had ended 2 months ago and had completely forgotten about.
This only gets funnier. And I think if I'm remembering the clips, and again, for whoever's posting these, this is just the nighttime oversight and no accountability shit show. It starts at the bottom and goes up. So starting on, I think there's 21. Okay, and so that was what he ended up saying. But right off the bat, because Jamie Raskin is the ranking member, so that's why he's talking. He was giving his opening statement, and immediately Margarine is screaming, is interrupting people. Like, this happened right from the beginning.
An avowedly low-budget but multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded production, which most Americans assumed had ended 2 months ago and had completely forgotten about. But tonight, with the cast and crew now fresh back from a surprise
You mean
trip
like
to
the
New York
January
City,
6th committee?
I'd like my time restored to me, Mr. Chairman.
Order. Chair recognizes ranking member.
Okay.
Okay. It all fair. It was like Raskin was enjoying this.
Order.
Well, tonight with the cast.
So then he repeated what you just first heard. The first clip was when he finally got it all out. So then, oh my God, it just gets. I've never seen anything like this. So do you notice in the background that Raskin has a photo of the Red Tie Brigade? Those are the idiots who went to the trial. He has a blowed up photo. That's so all
So
of the
petty.
Democrats have spent the day blowing up pictures of the people who were outside Donald Trump's trial to
Yeah.
terrorize them.
They don't have anything else to do. Like, Congress isn't a serious place anymore. Like, what else are you going to do? You're not going to legislate. The Republicans have no desire to do that. So what are you going to do? You're going to blow up pictures, and you're going to do this.
And I didn't make up the Red Tie Brigade. I can't take credit for that. That's what Hakeem Jeffries calls them.
Our originally scheduled performance was supposed to be at 11 a.m. today, but it was postponed when members of the majority chose to join a mass spiritual pilgrimage to the New York criminal trial of a Florida man, an adjudicated fraudster and rapist, as he faces 34 felony counts of falsifying corporate financial records to cover up $130,000 paid in hush money to a porn star sex partner. Now, although some people are churlishly complaining that members should actually be here to vote on public business and should not have forced a last-minute change in the committee schedule, our colleagues properly demonstrated for all of history their fierce devotion to this clearly reformed, devout, and pious Florida spiritual leader who many supporters are now calling the Messiah from Mar-a-Lago. Of course, in the meantime, Chairman Jordan in the House Judiciary
Will the
Committee
gentleman yield?
preempted. No,
That-
I'm in the middle
Sir,
of the
I appreciate
introduction.
that photo. It's a good photo.
That's Anna Paulina Lunatic. If anyone's curious, who's now screaming that Anna Paulina also lost her ever-loving mind last night.
I just want to say there is not a big difference, and this is petty on my part, between Anna Paulina Lunatic and Turnip. And when I heard her voice, I was like, oh no, how did Turnip get in Congress?
That's funny. Okay. It's funny right at the end, too. Raskin is hilarious.
Spiritual leader who many supporters are now calling the Messiah from Mar-a-Lago. Of course, in the meantime, Chairman Jordan in the House Judiciary
Will the
Committee
gentleman yield?
preempted. No, I'm in the middle
Sir,
of my
I appreciate that photo. It's a good photo.
Yeah.
I would like a copy of that.
Uh,
With it.
Would you like a signed one, Raskin?
Yes,
Could
I
you
wanna-
get your members in order, Mr. Chairman?
It's a great photo. I want a copy of it.
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
in the meantime,
So that was Dan Goldman who was yelling.
Can I-
Dan Goldman was furious.
I'd like to point something out is that he just eviscerated Trump, mentioned that he's an adjudicated fraudster, an adjudicated rapist, and all she could come up with is, I look good in that photo. I look good. It's like, okay, cool. Great comment.
Yeah.
I'm glad you interrupted for that. But what you're seeing there is like what happens to people in a cult when you go after their cult and they get so uncomfortable, so they just have to yell something and project like this confidence, and then it comes out, can I get a copy of that photo? I'll sign it. Shut up. Nobody knows who you are. Literally nobody knows who you are.
I think being like Raskin very possibly could be on the Supreme Court one day. Like, he's a preeminent constitutional scholar, and having to be in oversight and accountability with people like Margarine and Anna Paulina Luna is the equivalent of like being in lives and talking to MAGA and them having no idea what's going on. Like, I feel Raskin's frustration. Like, it's just it's an insult to everyone's intelligence.
different congressional investigations and inquiries. And I know that pleases the gentlelady from Georgia because he issued.
I just want to hear Joe Biden. Why can't the American people hear him?
Order, Mr. Chairman. Get her under control.
That's Goldman.
President Trump issued an edict. No, I am glad. I am glad that the gentlelady from Georgia is learning something tonight. Okay, the president. I encourage her to be a good listener, and she's been a good listener. So, Mr. Chairman, the last
That's exactly how I feel with Dale. So I get it. I get it. I get it, Ruskin. I know what you're going through.
He's so good at this.
Okay. He is. He was amazing last night. This is good.
But now it seems, Mr. Chairman, I just got past something that the whole obstruction gimmick may just be a fundraising ploy, which to me...
Oh, and here's where we get to the part where we realize who's really making money off the trial, which is not the judge's daughter, but in fact are the Republicans.
The overwhelming legal integrity and impressive theatrical ambitions of this enterprise. I was just handed a mass fundraising email solicitation for your campaign that you sent out this evening, Mr. Chairman, stating that, quote, Biden and his advisors are terrified that I will release the recordings, forcing the media and Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. This could be the final blow to Biden with swing voters across the country. The Democrats are pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. Signed, James Comer, Chairman, House Oversight Committee. Now,
So again, Dale, that's why you want the tapes, Dale. Comer put it in a fundraising email. That's why you guys want the tapes.
Just to be clear, these are the people saying that the government is being weaponized against Donald Trump, who by the way, none of these Democrats have anything to do with Donald Trump's case. Not one of them. And these same people are like, hey, we need to get stuff that we can spin as... Again, what they're saying is that they need to release these tapes because they believe it'll show that Joe Biden didn't speak well, and they need that for their campaign.
They
want
to make fun of his stutter.
Yeah.
They want to make fun of his stutter. Like that's what this is. They want to use these tapes to smear and mock him. And James Comer says that in a fundraising email. If you guys care about government corruption and weaponization, you care who's making money off this, then you should hold the Republicans accountable. This is egregious.
I must confess my disappointment to be handed this fundraising solicitation signed by you as chairman of the House Oversight Committee. I thought that you were serious about the legal enterprise here and not just another political huckster calling hearings to score cheap political points and to make a buck. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so now here's Moskowitz.
Let me read just a couple comments here
go
from Mika. Mika, I'm going to save your comment for the right time. You know why, but I will get back to it. And did I miss any here? I think I got Stacy's. That was for aspirin. Brendan says, if pro is the opposite of con, what's the opposite? Oh, if pro is the opposite of con, what's the opposite of progress? Congress.
Conservative.
Congress.
Well, I was answering the real question. I get what
Oh.
you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah. I get it.
Thank you for the edutainment. Okay. Thank you. I was like, I thought you'd get that one. All right. Proceed.
As Moskowitz, so this is now, okay, this is funny. I love Comer. I mean, I love Moskowitz harassing Comer. And then listen closely, because in the background, you're going to hear someone yelling some BS. It's Scott Perry. It's Scott, the FBI seized my cell phone, insurrectionist Perry.
Yeah. Ah! That's Scott Perry.
I think, yeah, he's yelling in the background, we just need the proof or something, or the evidence.
So again, Mr. Chairman, since you think this is the final blow,
This
right?
is awesome.
And obviously the chairman of judiciary is here too. We only have June, July, and September before the election. We're not here in August and October. So, I mean, I'm sure the American people are paying attention at 11:30 p.m. where you buried this hearing because it's so important. When are we going to do the impeachment of Joe Biden? When is that going to happen? Is it going to be June? Is it going to be July? Is it going to be September? Let's just put it on the calendar. Let's just put it on the calendar. Pick a month. We're available. We were available at 11 a.m. You guys weren't. Just pick a month, right? So we can get it on the calendar and do the impeachment. So hold on. I'll give you choices. Ready? June. July? How about September? Okay. So we're never going to schedule this thing. It's never going to happen. He's sending out more subpoenas because he has no evidence. Okay. And yet here we go around and around and around. And so we get it. You'll raise money off of it. Congratulations to you.
Facts. We get it. You'll
Guys,
raise money
why
off.
aren't Republicans embarrassed by this? I don't.
Well,
You guys
now
all
is where
see
it's
through
about to get
this.
real embarrassing. This is,
Yeah.
and here's where it takes a very dark, scary turn. I mean, it was already dark and scary, but this is where it goes completely off the rails.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How
Oh,
dare
wait,
you
hold on.
attack the physical...
This is not. Hold on one second. Let me find the clip I want. Where is it?
I'll check comments while we're looking.
Oh, here it is. But I don't know. Okay, so this is what. Yeah, I think this is it. Can I play it, or do you need to check comments?
No, I checked him. We're good.
Okay.
To know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising.
Nobody knows what's going on. Marge thinks
Do
she
you,
landed.
do you know
one.
what we're here for?
That's
You know what
Jasmine.
we're here for,
Just
AC.
I don't think you know what you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up
No,
the
ain't
terrain.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr.
That's
Chairman,
beneath
would
even
you
your
please
history.
regain
That's beneath
order
even
of your
you.
committee?
Order.
Please. There's a point of order.
We have a point of order.
So yeah, that's basically that is what happened. She attacks Jasmine Crockett's appearance.
Can we be honest? As a lover of trash talk, it's not good trash talk. That wasn't even very good. She's like, "Do you know why we're here?" And Marge is like, "I think your fake eyelashes are blocking your." She didn't even complete the thought.
Yeah, I
Just
couldn't
as-
hear I don't know what she actually said after fake eyelashes. I listened like 5 times and can't figure it out.
She did not complete the trash talk. She did not complete the joke. Some people might be disgusted by what she said. Some people might be lovers of trash talk. But I think we can all agree, wherever you are on that spectrum, that was bad trash talk.
Well, it
that
gets
that was not well. That
and
was
now
not well
it
done.
devolves into a shit show. But that's how it started. It's called engaging in personalities. But just to be clear, like what you need to know is the Republicans voted to allow it. That's why the Democrats are so angry, is because the Republicans voted to allow insults.
Did you see? Nisa said she's about as spicy as mayo.
Love spicy mayo. But I get it. Are we ready? Okay, so now we should be on just number 14. Sorry, that was for my outline folks. Okay.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take...
So now AOC's furious and basically is like you're attacking someone's appearance, right? And this is AOC talking.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings
Her
hurt?
words down.
Oh.
Oh, girl, baby, girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play, baby.
Girl,
We are gonna move, and we're gonna take your words down.
I second that motion.
So who will have to pay? Okay. All right. We're suspending.
Just the sense. This is such a Republican. Look, I'm gonna be a dick. Republicans suck at this. Like, conservatives aren't good at trash talk. They're not good at at jokes. They're not good at any of this. And that's why, like, you've seen this. You guys go around to lives all day. You know the conservatives we're talking about. When they get like busted on something, or when it's pointed out that they're a bigot, they're like, "Are your feelings hurt?" Yeah, no, we're just pointing out you're a piece of shit, and like you don't like that. So you have to deflect that. Like, are your feelings hurt? It was a dumb thing that you said, and bad trash talk. But Republicans are not equipped for this, and I've never been happier to have these Democrats representing me, because if we're not going to have a good Congress, if they're not going to do anything, we might as well get some laughs in, which I think we're getting today.
Well, and holding them accountable, like, don't let it go by. So now, and I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to hear this, but it's not like in a microphone. It's now there's like everything kind of breaks into chaos. There's side conversations going on, and you can hear AOC talking on a hot mic, but it's not very loud.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's all it is.
She's not used to people talking back to
She
her.
doesn't want to say sorry to nobody for nothing.
Did you hear her? AOC says she doesn't want to say sorry to nobody for nothing. And then she's like, and she's going to learn. And she's going to learn. Here, I'll play it again.
It sounds like Jasmine Crockett to me. Are you sure that's
No,
AOC?
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's all it is.
She's not used to people talking back to
She
her.
doesn't want to say sorry to nobody for nothing. She's gonna learn.
That's AOC.
She turned off her professional voice for that. I like that.
Yeah, she doesn't always talk. Okay, so we should, sorry, I'm just making sure. That was 13, so now I just want to make sure I'm on the right place and not off. Yeah, okay. So this should be 12.
Okay.
So now they're going to try, like, when you get your words taken down, traditionally you're supposed to apologize. Like, when you attack someone. Like,
Okay. Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
was apologized.
recognizes
No.
Perry.
She's
Okay,
apologized.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry, she'll be
that's
recognized.
AOC.
I'm not
Has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then you're not
reserve the right
striking
to
your word.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry.
apologizing.
No, let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
It's
minority.
pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
out of order.
You don't have enough.
She said it's pretty self-evident, meaning like you're an idiot. I'm not going to debate you because of you're an idiot. Like, look
On
at
what?
yourself.
Jewish
I'm just going to
space
start
lasers?
it. So again, it's AOC, and then Margarine is refusing to apologize. So now
Why
you
don't you
understand.
debate me?
And then
What a
she's like,
stupid-
why don't you debate me? If you're not
Stupid.
aware, in Congress, like in these hearings, Margarine regularly has challenged AOC to a debate. And AOC's like, you're not smart enough for me to engage
wouldn't-
with you in a conversation.
Marge wouldn't do well in TikTok debates. Like she like the right would be like, all right, listen, no more Marge, guys. Like she wouldn't be good at any debate.
I don't even think the right thinks Marge is smart. If you look at like the Republicans during this, I wouldn't say they were on her side. Like
Can
they
I-
were just horrified.
Yeah, I want to shout out my project Bobo. I think
she was
I think
a
she kind of
mess.
liked that they were going after Marge, though. I think she enjoyed the insults at Marge. I saw a few times when she just kind of put her head down with a smile.
It gets so bad. Bobo has her own special embarrassing moment. Don't you worry.
Okay. Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she was
Chair
apologized.
recognizes
No.
Mr. Perry. Okay, hold on. Then after Mr. Perry, she'll be recognized. Then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well, then
seconds.
you're not
reserve the right
striking
to
your
Perry.
word.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry.
apologizing.
No, let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
I think it's
minority.
pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
out of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to
Now
strike.
there's-
I'd like to strike those words as well.
I move to
I would
strike.
like
Order.
to
Ladies'
strike as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the
There's
words.
another motion to strike her words. Again.
All right.
Please get
Okay.
your members under
Here's the
control.
correct priority. Ms. Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Chair recognizes- Okay.
This is so insane. And now
Absolute child. What
So,
an
and now-
absolute child.
Oh, she's an embarrassment to the Republicans. I'm actually quite glad. This is what happens. This is what gerrymandering gets you. Jim Jordan and Margarine Taylor Greene. Like it absolute ineffectual embarrassment. Like this is what Republicans get. So now Jasmine enters the chat, right? Like she was the one insulted. She was largely quiet. But now she just comes in with, you'll see.
To know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Mershon.
Oh, sorry. This is the wrong. I played this clip. I apologize. This should be the right one.
Ms. Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yep.
It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built bush body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
What now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
part
I'm
of it.
trying to find clarification on what
Chairman, motion to
I
strike
have no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look,
That's
you guys
lunatic.
Earlier, literally just said
You just voted to do it.
Okay, so again, when she's screaming, you just voted to do it. The Republicans voted to allow them to engage in personalities, meaning to basically allow Jasmine to be insulted. That's why the Democrats are so mad, is because the Republicans voted to allow this, and that's what she's screaming, is like,
Right.
this is what you wanted, now I insulted you like you insulted me. You guys just voted so that Margarine isn't going to be punished for insults. Now I'm insulting you. This is what you wanted. That's basically what she's saying. I'm just going to start it over. This is absolute chaos.
Screen.
Wait.
for 4
Hold on.
minutes and 21 seconds.
Sorry,
Mr.
I was
Chair.
muted and I was trying to talk. Sorry.
I didn't
Now
hear
is
you.
the time for Mika's comment. Mika says, bleach blonde, bad built, butch body, rent free. Thank you, Mika.
And it's consonants. I love the repetition of.
I've got a couple actually. I didn't know
Consonants.
it'd come in. Wasn't me says I'm marrying AOC and Jasmine in my wish universe. I think
No,
that's pretty greedy, honestly, to take
it
both.
is. It's upsetting to me. I immediately felt triggered. Like I
Wasn't
lost
me also
something.
said Jeff would dog walk Marjorie Taylor Greene. That is high praise. That is high praise for Jeff. And Kim says, when I was a little kid, we had a sandbox. It was a quick sandbox. I was an only child.
Quick
Eventually.
sandbox. I
Did you hear
get
the
it.
end? No, I was an only child.
child.
Eventually.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That's what I
Oh.
thought. I didn't hear the eventually, but that's what I thought. Meaning, like my siblings didn't make it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's really funny. I like that.
Okay, go ahead.
Might actually use that in the future. Okay, here we go. Starting the shit show over.
Screen for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order. It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built bush body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman,
I'm
I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
part
I'm
of it.
trying to find clarification on what.
Chairman, motion to
I
strike
have no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You just voted to do
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm
No,
down.
because this
I
is
will
what
let
y'all
you
do.
get through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized.
Like,
Ms.
man,
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to
down.
Be, no,
Can you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
out time
shit
to take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all gonna have a
minutes?
problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right,
Sorry.
chair.
I don't know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
It's just absolute. Because so again, that's what they're saying. You just voted to do this. Now we're doing it, and you have a problem with it. Like that's why she was asking for clarification. It's like you guys just voted that we can insult each other. Does this count as an insult?
Yeah, just checking. I loved James Comer. I don't know what you just said. I have no idea what you just
Oh
said.
my! Comer's smart. I will say, I actually think Comer played it smart because, like, did you see? You can't see it that well, but if you go back and watch this, like Raskin and Comer, you could just tell they're like, this is what is happening. Like
Chaos.
this
Yeah.
has off the rails, and like, what are we gonna? Raskin's like, we need to adjourn. We need to adjourn. You'll hear it go on, and Raskin says over and over, like, we just need to get out of here. I don't think we should be here. We've been working for too long. And Comer's just like, I don't know what's happening. Watch JB Raskin's face if you could.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman. I think these 17-hour days might not work for us.
Something about working, huh?
Yeah, maybe showing up for a vote.
Yeah, nice joke.
So that was Anna Paulina Lunatic
So bad.
saying, and that was Dan Goldman, right? Who's like, hey, maybe show up for a vote. These are the people that want to hold Merrick Garland in contempt, but did not show up for the hearing at 11 a.m. That's that's what, and now they're yelling insults in the middle of the night.
Again, bad trash talk. Yeah, something about work. Like there's a joke in there somewhere. She wasn't sure, but she just spit it out. That wasn't even a complete sentence. It wasn't a joke. It really wasn't anything. That's the best that they have. Like she thinks she just landed that.
It's almost like the only thing, it seems like these Freedom Caucus members who were flying back from New York were like in the hotel bar, like in the Sky Lounge or something. It's like, what happened to you guys between being in New York and getting back here that led you to behave like this? Listen to Cober. Raskin immediately is like, we should adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman. I think these 17-hour days might not work for us.
Something about working, huh?
Yeah, maybe showing up for a vote.
You have a lot to say, being that you're on retainer for the judge's daughter. Sorry,
Again,
trust fund kid.
Mr. Chairman.
Not trash talk. That's not
So,
trash talk.
did you hear her say sorry, trust fund kid? So if you don't know what she means by that, Dan Goldman is one of the heirs of the Levi's fortune. Like that's what, when she's saying, trust fund kid, that's what she's talking about. And what she's talking about again, which everyone who runs federal, campaigns for Congress has one that has money. I think that's why she singled Dan Goldman out. She's saying that this third party marketing firm, right, that focuses on elections, that Dan Goldman has them on retainer.
Again, he was like, hey, why don't
It's
you
dumb.
guys
I
show
know.
up?
It's
And
stupid
she's
and
like,
sad.
marketing firm. Like this isn't good trash talk.
Marketing
so
firm.
bad.
Something about work.
We should strike those words too.
I hope you brought your popcorn.
Mr. Chairman,
Strike those after we strike the
Mr.
fact that they
Chairman.
called.
So that was AOC saying we should strike these words too, meaning the insult to Dan Goldman. That Margaret is the one who's like, I hope you brought your popcorn. Like these people are insane.
Fun kid.
Mr. Chairman.
we should strike those words too.
I hope you brought your popcorn.
Mr. Chairman,
Strike
we have to
those
strike
after
those
we
as well.
strike the
Mr.
fact that they
Chairman.
called they were making comments about Marjorie's body. So we can do
Mr.
this all
Chairman.
night long, but I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, this is out of
Yes, like
control.
again.
We should adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion at the desk.
Mr. Chairman,
I think my body's pretty good, and I'm gonna be fit.
point of order.
That's Margaret.
I am. I turned 50.
Mr. Chairman.
Pretty good.
Margaret wants it to be on the record that she thinks her body is pretty good. She's about to turn 50. This is where we're at. This was at this point, I think, like 11 p.m. or midnight. And Margaret's like, it needs to be known that I think my body's pretty good.
I don't
There's
know that
nothing
I've ever
to say about it.
I don't know if I've ever made it past her face. I really don't. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that.
You
I
haven't
will say-
seen the weird CrossFit videos she posts? Oh my god.
No, but I will say that somebody, Benny in Reddit said, or Benny in Discord said, someone on Reddit called Marjorie Taylor Greene shaved Alf, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Shaved Alf. Remember that show? That was a show that if you didn't have cable, you were forced to see. Okay, let's just hear this one more time and then we'll move on.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Brasket is so...
I think these 17-hour days might not work for us.
Something about working, huh?
Yeah, maybe showing up for a vote.
You have a lot to say, being that you're on retainer for the judge's daughter. Sorry, trust fund kid.
Mr. Chairman.
We should strike those words too.
I hope you brought your popcorn.
Mr. Chairman,
Strike
we have to
those
strike
after
those
we
as well.
strike the
Mr.
fact that they
Chairman.
called they were making comments about Marjorie's body. So we can do
Mr.
this all night
Chairman.
long, but I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
at the
this is
desk.
out of
Yes, like
control.
again.
We should adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion at the desk.
Mr. Chairman,
I think my body's pretty good, and I'm gonna be fit.
point of order.
I am. I turned 50.
Mr. Chairman,
Pretty good.
Mr. Chair.
It is true, Seawork. This is what they want, is the chaos. This distraction today, thank God. I'm really glad that Trump had his son's graduation, because if this, right, think about it. If today was a court day, when we're all watching this is the point. The distraction, the chaos. The job of the 118th Congress, of the Freedom Caucus, is to get nothing done, be as loud as possible, flood the airways with shit. This is exactly what is meant by flooding the airways with shit. Oh, this is good one. You guys, prepare yourselves to die laughing. Yeah. Robert Garcia blew up a picture of Trump sleeping in court. This is a literal, real-life photo of Trump asleep in court, and it was like the largest poster board I've ever seen in my life.
Wait, hold on. Felice, what do pampered cows produce?
Carbon? I don't know.
Spoiled milk. Thank you,
Spoiled
wasn't me.
milk.
Thank you. Well done.
Okay. Robert Garcia is so funny. And this is all factual. He's just reading facts in the public record. That's what this is.
Donald Trump. Now let's look at public reporting. I'm only going to talk about public reporting. His criminal trial started on April 15th. And here's a summary of the press reports. On his first day of his trial, Reuters reported that Trump appeared to doze off during jury selection. On April 16th, it was reported that Trump dropped his head inside the courtroom, keeping his eyes closed before jolting his head upright. On April 19th, the New York Times reported Trump's eyes remained, quote, closed for extended periods during the final day of jury selection. On April 22nd, MSNBC reported that Trump's lawyers were fighting to keep him awake. On April 30th, NBC and the New York Times reported that Trump nodded off for significant portions of witness testimony, and as we all know, basically kept his eyes closed for hours and hours on end. On May 9th, Trump's eyes remained closed for many minutes, and Trump later, of course, dozed on and off. And the reports go on and on. May 13th, Trump was quite asleep during the afternoon session. On May 14th, a political reporter said Trump slouched in his seat and closed his eyes and his mouth. Now, here we have a photo of Donald Trump, of course, through some of his trial.
Oh my God. It just doesn't get old for Robert Garcia. Like, I love this man.
And again, like, I would prefer they were doing work. It would be great. But they're not going to, so at least entertain us. I mean,
now
this
again,
is so
if you guys are trying to say you guys want those tapes of Joe Biden, even though the transcripts are already released, so you can try to mock his stutter or say he's old and confused. Meanwhile, Grandpa has spent more time asleep during his criminal trial than he has awake, and we don't hear a peep out of you. This is the point. Carry your line of logic through. If you're not concerned about why Trump has been on a 2-week nap, literal, a public 2-week nap is what we've seen. But no, you guys have no concerns about the fact this guy's perpetually been asleep. Oh, here's your girl. Here comes
you
Boebert.
have my attention. This is going to be
give
good.
her this. No,
this is going to be sensible.
It starts out good. It's all downhill from there. But I will say, Lord Boebert is the only one. So what happened, that crisis happened, and they kind of just tried to, like, patch it together and, like, move on, you know? And Boebert is the only one who apologized. This part's good. I actually was like, wow, she's like, this is my chance to appear
We've
sane.
been working on some stuff.
I was gonna.
Yeah.
Jay, when I was recording this, my thought was, see, Jay's gonna say it's working. You're fixing her. But then everything else she does after the apology is just straight downhill.
Just cut it then.
I just want to apologize to the American people. I don't think that this is the best use of our time when we are squabbling. It's one thing to have fun and laugh as members of Congress and try to find humor or some sort of lightheartedness in what we are doing. But when things get as heated as they have, it's unfortunately an embarrassment on our body as a whole. And so I just want to personally apologize to the American people for that.
Yeah, wise words from Beetlejuice.
Perfect. Next person. Next person.
She has time to say that while when
it
she's
off.
not giving Andrew Jacksons in public theaters while sitting one row in front of children. Like, yeah, it makes perfect sense if only she wasn't who she is. If I would have heard that, like the other people sitting in that room coming from her, I would have just been like,
You would have believed her.
well, I don't care
Yeah,
if you're a
she's doing
Republican
great.
or a Democrat. Lauren Boebert is not the picture of like right and wrong or like decorum.
She might be the picture of wrong.
But I do think like she's like Margarine looks really bad and this is my chance. You know what I do agree
Yeah.
with you that she loved that Margarine was looking so bad. She's like, I'm an angel. Margarine just embarrassed herself. Yeah, I do agree with that point. But then she makes a series of dumb statements.
Shit. She was doing
Poor-
so well.
I just want to apologize to the American people.
Oh,
I don't think that this is
sorry,
the
I
best
started
use
it
of-
over.
President Trump, when he was in office, he underwent testing for his cognitive dissonance, for his ability to function as
Hold on.
president of the United States.
Yeah,
Hold on.
yeah.
Did she say cognitive dissonance?
This is why I'm trying to tell you. I think they were drinking in the in the airport.
I think here's what happened. I prepped her on that first half of the statement, but then I got busy and I
went off
called
script.
HVAC and I was like, "Can you get the rest?" And I think that's where cognitive dissonance came from. HVAC gave her
Yeah,
that.
when you're questioning someone's cognitive abilities and yours completely shut down, like that might be a sign that you need to look at yourself. One more time. Like poor Lauren, she tried there.
President Trump, when he was in office, he underwent testing for his cognitive dissonance, for his ability to function as president of the United States.
Yeah, Ronnie Candyman Jackson, the guy who reports have come out about him being basically a pill dispenser at the White House, gave Donald Trump a cognitive test. Thank you for pointing that out, Lauren
Cat,
Boebert.
train,
I know.
clouds, mountains.
Dissonance.
Sane.
She tried. You had her. The apology was good.
I should have stayed with. Yeah, I left. I shouldn't have.
Here we go.
And unfortunately, I haven't seen Joe Biden even read a teleprompter properly.
Oh, Lauren, no. Don't drink at the hotel or at the airport bar. Like, again, trying to call into question someone's ability to speak properly when you yourself cannot get the words out.
It's probably just
And
she probably has a
unfortunately, I
cognitive
haven't
dissonance.
Seen Joe Biden even read a teleprompter properly.
She really was trying. Now comes the weirdest part. This is,
Hey, good, but can we all agree? Good try. Good try.
I said the beginning started
Yeah,
out really
good
good
try.
and that it was a sleigh ride into disappointment. This is just weird. Like, this is why I think I'm like, don't drink at the airport bar. Because this is just honestly a little creepy.
So every so often, Mr. Garcia, maybe you could just lift up that picture of our President Trump sleeping. As you say, I think he's praying. But if he is sleeping, he certainly looks pretty while he sleeps. Maybe it's an endearing moment of prayer, though. I know when I fall asleep on airplanes, my mouth kind of drops open. And, his mouth is kind of tight-lipped. So maybe it's just a somber moment of
I mean, he's
thought.
sleeping. It's been reported by multiple press outlets.
I was in the
that he's
courtroom
actually
today,
sleeping.
and I do. I could see why someone would fall asleep, just like George Conway fell asleep today in the court hearing. It's kind of slow in there. It's not as exciting as the House Oversight Committee, but I just wanted to say that's a lovely picture you have of President Trump, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, and I yield.
Get a lady.
Jay, do you want to explain this? Do you want to explain that?
What the fuck was that?
I know. It just, I
He's-
told you it started out good. That's the
such a
nicest
relig-
thing I could say.
He's such a religious man. He was just praying, and he looks pretty. What are you doing? What, Bobo, sweetheart?
You
No,
gotta call your girl.
no, Bobo. That was weird. All of that was weird. That's the cult shit we're talking about. There's reports that he's falling asleep, and they just invent she just invents a story He wasn't sleeping, he was praying, and he looks pretty when he's praying. And by the way, if he was asleep, I don't blame him. Like, what are you doing?
So creepy.
What are you doing? Oh,
I
Bobo, you tried.
know.
Good try. I said, can we agree it was a good try? And the chat was like, no. Your standards are too high for her. This was a good try for her.
Yeah, she was not giving a Andrew Jackson at any point last night.
This is one of her best days.
We need to celebrate her wins. You're right. It could have been worse. You know what I mean? We've learned from experience with Lord Boebert, it could be much worse than it was last night. Let's just end on Jasmine. Jasmine, here is a clip of when she was actually talking in her 5 minutes, not screaming.
I know a lot of people refer to the former president as president, but we have one president at a time, and that is Joe Biden. And seemingly, this type of attitude and position has come straight from the top. This idea of lacking all decorum, decency, has left the building when the stench of Donald Trump showed up. And so we've seen constantly from him how he mocks people. We've seen in this committee how different members want to mock other members. And that's all this is about. But what is so frustrating to me, and what should be frustrating to the American people, and the reason that really all of y'all should lose y'all's jobs, but why we are going to take the majority is simple. It's because we showed up ready to work earlier today, like we always do. And now it is currently 10 p.m. and we are still here because we are committed to doing the right thing. And my question is really simple. It's a matter of, if this was such a big deal, if it was a matter of an emergency, if this was so important as it relates to whether or not the president of the United States has done something so wrong, then why is it that we couldn't have our hearing at 11 o'clock this morning instead of members being in a criminal courthouse with a twice impeached, over 88 count indicted sexual abuser, instead of being here to do the work of the American people? If this was serious, this is the reason that people don't believe that we are doing serious
Mr. Chairman,
work
point of order.
here.
I asked to state your point. My point of order is this. We just engaged in personalities about a former president, which
you just
reviewed the rules, and you know that it's true. If you were on the floor, you would be admonished. You know that.
Which is untrue. They've covered this a million times.
That's Jay's representative. This is who we're stuck with in Arizona.
Dumb dick. He's been corrected on this like a million times too.
Yeah.
This current Congress has agreed that people who aren't members of Congress, like, that you can disparage them. This is allowed. And every time it winds up being Andy Biggs going, I'm going to defend my friend. And every time they rule, yeah, no, we already agreed we can do this. Yeah, no, Andy Biggs is...
He does look like he's lost a little weight. That's the nicest thing I could say about Andy Biggs. He looks a little... He was looking
because he's
unhealthy for a while. He looks a little bit better here. But yeah, I think Jasmine said it perfectly. Like, this is why no one believes that the Congress is up to anything. Because they're not. They don't even bother to show up. If what Merrick Garland did was so egregious, now keep in mind, the transcripts have been out for months. Every word of that interview is known to the public and has been for months. But if it's so important, if Merrick Garland has done something so horrible and you guys need to hold him in contempt, why don't you show up for the scheduled hearing to do so?
Fair point. Maggie says, I pretended to be praying in church and slept. I did that too. I'm sure most of us did. Amber said, you've been working Bobo. Yeah, I have been working Bobo. Look, and again, you guys can say whatever you want. That was her best. That's the best she's been. That was peak Bobo. And it's not great, but that was peak Bobo. We only have we can go a little longer, but we never opened up the box for Friday. Do you have any more clips?
I know that. Well, I was just no, that was the last clip from that. The only other question I have about clips is, do you guys want to quickly see Eric Swalwell? Okay,
we should see Eric Swalwell.
You should. Yeah, I mean, it's worth seeing. It's like 3 clips.
Box is open, and as soon as we're done with the Swalwell clip, we'll get going.
Okay. This is they had this judiciary hearing to vote for contempt at the scheduled time in the morning.
Well, it's nice to see that some of my colleagues on the other side can make it today. I don't know if that means that there weren't enough seats in the courtroom in New York.
Okay, sorry. I just think that's funny.
That's a good line.
Yeah, there really probably weren't enough seats. That's why they're there. Right? Oh, there we go.
Well, it's nice to see that some of my colleagues on the other side can make it today. I don't know if that means that there weren't enough seats in the courtroom in New York. But I know that the Oversight Committee canceled a hearing that was supposed to happen right now on this matter funny. So that they could be at the president's trial. I know some members will miss this vote because they want to be at the president's trial. And I don't think that anything could animate the phrase, "do nothing Congress," more than missing votes and canceling hearings to go up and be a spectator at your cult leader's trial. That is the definition of do nothing Congress. But
to be a spectator at your cult leader's trial. Let's make sure to get that on the record. That's all Republicans are now. Spectators at their cult leaders' trials.
Don't tell me this isn't a cult. Yesterday I was called a demon.
That was crazy.
I was told that because I was a Democrat I was a demon. Many of you were there when I was called a demon. Don't ever tell me this isn't a cult. This is absolutely a cult.
that is the definition of do nothing Congress. But I'm here for a celebration because let's raise a glass. It's been about 2 years this week. May 12th is when Jim Jordan, our chairman, was subpoenaed and asked to comply with his subpoena for his role, his interaction with the former president on the January 6th attack of the Capitol. And so we are now 735 days in. It's 2 years, and this committee has the nerve. This committee has the temerity to seek compliance from the Attorney General. I actually think you should not be able to bring any subpoena of another person if you are out of compliance of your own subpoena. That seems to make a lot of sense to me, and we'll have an amendment to address that a little bit later.
They're going to add amendments after amendments after amendments to this because it's going to go to the House floor. And they're all going to just be talking shit about James Comer and Jim Jordan. But yeah, again, this is a committee to vote on holding someone in contempt for being out of compliance with a subpoena when the chairman of said committee is out of compliance with his own subpoena.
Have a break.
That's all Republicans are, just constant hypocrisy.
We got one more?
And so then I thought to myself, is there like a parallel? Is there another investigation where your side was completely incurious about what that investigation yielded? Turns out there was. Turns out it happened recently. Turns out somebody on your side was investigated for sex trafficking.
Matt
Gaetz.
Gaetz.
Say, well, he was cleared. He was cleared. They dropped the charges. Yes, the Biden Attorney General dropped the charges, didn't pursue, didn't bring charges. That's exactly what happened with President Biden. But you all have shown no interest to go to the Attorney General and say, well, we want to learn more. We want to see the notes and the audio recordings and the evidence of our own colleagues' sex trafficking investigation. Not a peep from any one of you. So if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to show just a little bit of consistency, I would be willing to entertain that you have a genuine interest in understanding what happened in that hearing. But that's not what this is about.
The never-ending hypocrisy. Exactly. You had one of your own colleagues was investigated for sex trafficking. Basically, they just announced they're not bringing charges. No one is asking for those transcripts. No one wants those audio tapes because you guys are hypocrites.
And that's a crime we can actually point to, right? We could say, here's the crime that we think he committed. Republicans can't even get that far. They're not even to the point where they can tell us what crime was committed, and they're demanding these transcripts. All right. Is that it? All right. We'll drop that. Jen's going to control the box. Thanks, guys, for being patient. I'll stay a little longer. I don't know what Felice's schedule is. I don't know if you need to go right at 1, but I'll stay a little bit longer. Welcome. Pizza for breakfast.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on in Canada?
Oh, it's I think it's going a little bit better than what's going on in your neck of the woods, but you know.
Do you guys have a Bobo in Canada? Is there a Bobo?
I kind of wish there was. I need some more dysfunction in my life. Just I want to put for the Marge thing, the MTG thing. I think the biggest problem is that I can't distinguish between her and 99% of the Republican MAGA supporters that come on your live. Like that's like it's
yeah, you'd think she'd be a little better, like being in Congress, right? You'd think that, it's pretty wild. Same with Anna Paulina Luna. She was famous. What did she say? She said something horrific that made her famous, and I can't remember what it was. But she got famous. She was like Instagram famous, and I'll figure it out. But same thing, like being a lunatic, like a QAnon mom. That's you win. You can win a congressional seat by being a QAnon mom in the GOP.
She's really just metaphorically asking for a manager constantly. But I'm gonna say one more funny thing, and then I have an actual kind of serious question. That picture of Trump that was blown up. I think he was actually on his route to experiencing spiritual enlightenment.
That was he was right before Nirvana. That was literally right before Nirvana.
He might have been holding in a
Buddhist enlightenment was right out of grasp.
Yeah.
The serious thing I do want to say is like, and I'm going to push back on this. Maybe when you know your politics and everything is so much more than me, but I want to push back on the cult thing a bit because I almost feel like it excuses the behavior of such hatred that these people seem to project. I mean, they clearly have no respect for women, minorities, immigrants, the LGBTQ community. And I don't know. I mean, it's a cult, but I almost feel like it distracts from the heavy hatred that they have.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive, though. Understand that you can be in a high control group and be hateful. Like the two things aren't mutually exclusive. Both things are occurring at the same time.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
When I say it's a cult, I think it's more because of like the weaponization. Like they use the cult to hide behind their bigotry, right?
Right.
They use that as a shield. A regular bigot, they're just like their bigotry is out there and open, but it's almost like with the cult people, they've convinced themselves that their bigotry is okay because of their belief system, and obviously like they're using it as an excuse. But I only look at it because of like the things I was bigoted about, the things that I struggle with. Like I hid behind my cult. I didn't ever address it even internally. I was just like, oh, the cult says it, so it's true.
Yeah, no, that's I appreciate that explanation. That actually clears it up for me, and I think that's a very good point. And I say this very sincerely. I wish that mental health was celebrated as much as it was in Canada, because we're much better about openly talking about those things. And I don't want to generalize the States, but that's just
no, you're correct. Yeah, you're definitely correct. There's a huge stigma about it. I just want to say, I understand. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. Like when I say a high control group or whatever, I'm not excusing any of the bigotry, but I do want to say my experience in like devout evangelicalism and what I realize now was Christian nationalism. Like my experience in that was being biracial, right? Like my father is half African American and half indigenous, but I was literally being told, like I can't explain it, but the way I know that like what Jay is saying is true, that as like a white man, he's just thinking like, well, don't ever think through it. Just I'm being told like we're just better or whatever the case may be, so I believe it. It's how I grew up. Like I literally denying that half of myself existed was what I had to do to fit in. It was like like the minority parts of me, I almost apologized for, and then I realized, like, was disgusted about within myself because I was being taught that that part of me was wrong. Like, imagine that part. I can't divorce from it. It's literally, I can't cut off half my body, but I am being raised to believe that half of me there is something wrong with, and not questioning it, because when you're raised in something early enough, it's just, oh, I guess, half of me's broken, or I just have to hide this part of me because there's, it's just intrinsically not okay that all of me is not white. Like, I mean, that is the lesson that I learned, and never knew another reality existed. And eventually I tested that reality and broke out of it.
Yeah.
But that was my reality for a long time. I didn't understand why I was ashamed.
And with you saying that, like, I do recognize in that like what you just said, like my privilege as a white male, like I'll never understand that experience. So I do, you kind of extrapolating on that does really clear things up in terms of the cult perspective and all that other stuff. And I do appreciate that. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You don't have to talk about it now, but I'm just curious what you think about the debates that are going to come up with Biden and Trump.
Yeah, my only thought is, like, thank God they're agreeing to a mute button, because
Yeah.
the last debates were a shit show. I'm not really interested in these debates. We'll cover it. We'll host a live. I don't really get much out of debates other than entertainment, and with these two, I don't actually think it'll be that entertaining. MAGA wants cruelty. They want Donald Trump to be able to be cruel to Joe Biden. All the stuff that they say about him, all the fuck Joe Biden, all the stuff about his stutter, about his age. They just want to see Donald Trump on stage being cruel. So that's why they're excited about it. I'm not excited at all. I think it's going to be embarrassing for our country. I think on a world stage it will be laughed at. I really wish they weren't debating, honestly.
And I just going to bring up what your point. Well, you sent me the clip, so I can't take credit for this. Like, it was a Lawrence O'Donnell clip the night when the news of these debates came out, and Lawrence O'Donnell was making the point: if you're old enough to remember when Richard Nixon was president,
right?
Like, why. Like, the problem with the debates is that Biden basically has one hand tied behind his back because he cannot comment on any investigations like that are going on with Donald Trump. And what Lawrence O'Donnell was talking about with Nixon was, apparently, and I don't remember this, I'm not old enough, but when Nixon was president, when the Manson crew, Charles, the people, whatever, Sharon, killed Sharon Tate or whatever, they were on trial. Nixon, like, no president had ever commented on an ongoing investigation because it biases the trial. You can get a mistrial. It biases the jury. If a president from the bully pulpit is like, this guy is guilty. And I guess Nixon did that about Charles Manson, like, made some comment like, well, basically inferring guilt. And the next day, Charles Manson, the lawyer left on the table, like, the Los Angeles Times or whatever, that had the front page headline that Nixon had basically biased the jury. And Charles Manson held it up in the courtroom and almost biased the jury. Like, Nixon had to retract his whole statement. So Lawrence O'Donnell was telling that story to say, if you're old enough to remember that, and Joe Biden is, and so are many people in this country, that's why Joe Biden has never commented on any case of Donald Trump's, because the minute he mentions it, it biases the entire case and probably sets Trump up to get off. So basically, Trump can say anything he wants. Oh, the DOJ is biased against me. Joe Biden set this all up and set the prosecutors to New York to prosecute me. And Joe Biden can say not one word in response. And I just thought that was an interesting point that, again, Jay brought to me, so I'm not taking credit for it. And Lawrence O'Donnell said it.
I hadn't even considered that, to be honest. And I was wondering, does that apply to the civil trials as well, though? Like E. Jean Carroll and the fraud? Can you
Well,
not
I mean,
mention
that
those?
already happened. No, I mean that's fact. Like that's already
Yeah.
happened, but there's appeals, right? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, but
yeah.
those are just in the courts. So it's less about that, but these cases, right?
Mhm.
Probably conceivably only the hush money case will have happened. Not like we know the Docs case isn't going to trial January 6th or
Yeah.
Georgia. It doesn't look like. So Biden, I mean, so Trump can sit there and say this is all bias. Biden set this up, blah blah blah. And Joe Biden cannot say a word in response.
The only
Sorry, I'm just reading that.
pushback I'll say is that because Trump is so incompetent and doesn't, it just speaks gibberish. I think those debates would still work against him. That's just my opinion.
Oh no, and I think it will. Like I think it's good what happened because for me, for and I think for the majority of American people, like what I want to hear is them talk about the issues. Like,
Yeah.
and hopefully without an audience full of donors who are just screaming and taking up all the time, with turning off people's microphones when it's not their turn to speak.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, we might hear some actual debate on the issues.
Because I want to hear him talk about Agenda 47 or Project 2025. I want to hear him double down on it. Because if he says in front of people, I want to put the unhoused in internment camps, I want him to say it on a stage.
I want to hear, well, for sure, I want to hear him talk like what he said, because that's what that Time article that came out essentially was. And they released the transcript, not audio tapes,
Yeah.
an agreed upon transcript
Yeah.
of the Time article, because that's kind of what it was. It was like Trump's chance to give an interview and say, well, you've heard a lot about Project 2025. Here's in my own words what I like, my policy on it.
Yeah.
And he said a lot of very scary things
Yep.
that I agree. I would like to hear it addressed.
Precisely. And I won't take up too much any more of your time. I really appreciate it, and I hope I didn't sound in any way insensitive in regards to the cult talk or anything like that.
I just want you, no, absolutely not. That's a very valid point. Like, I am not saying just because I'm just speaking from a personal experience that like, no, we should hold people accountable for bigotry. Like, we should be angry. We should be defensive of marginalized groups in every way. So like my only point was, hey, all of it's true. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
a very nuanced, complicated issue, not offensive at all.
Yeah, it just saddens me when I hear people, Republicans or MAGA, gaslight or bully people into thinking that what they're saying is not true or invalidating those feelings. So,
Oh, I hear ya. Okay, so guys, I think Jay is a little nauseous right now, as I understand it. So
oh,
that's why he's not here right now. But so Jen, should we just have a couple more people and
yeah,
see
but yeah,
how
kick me
Jay
off. Sorry.
feels?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I'm going to. I actually don't even really know how. I'm gonna figure it out.
Thank you, Felice. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I don't. Oh my gosh, I never do this, so I'm just going to guess at how. Oh, did I? Oh, sorry, Jen. Are you doing it? Sorry, Jen. I won't touch anything. Okay. Hello? Sorry, Jen.
Hey,
That was my last
Felice.
time touching anything. I'm done. Hi.
That's okay. Hey, Felice. I wanted to call in because, first of all, I am going to ask for donations for the therapy that I need after last Thursday's show when you were honoring the airmen and we had those 3 fabulous guests in a row, because that was wild. But anyway, I guess I kind of wanted to talk about the commencement speech with Buttlicker, which I can't even say his real name anymore. I don't even know what it is after all the videos. But
I forgot it now that you said that, and I will never think. Is it Buckner or but? Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
Buttlicker's better. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I work at a very large Christian private university. And I want to say that commencement speech is an exact example of what an everyday meeting is like being on a Christian college campus. We start every meeting with a prayer.
My sister used to work where you work, so I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I know where you work, and that's exactly what I said. And I went to a private Christian school in Phoenix that like all of the people I went to school with go to, it's like where you matriculate to essentially, like where they all ended up. So I'm sorry that you have to be there. And I know exactly what people speak like that go to these universities. That's why I think my reaction was a little underwhelming because I
It
had not
was.
heard about that. But it's because I'm like, oh yeah, this was every Tuesday in our weekly chapel session
Yep.
where they basically shamed the women and told us our job was to not have sex until marriage, and then our job was to have as many children as we could. Like that's
Yeah,
what I was told.
all the students on scholarship on campus are required to go to chapel every Monday. They're required. In addition to that, they do a lot. They pay for students to fly in to come to campus. And if you come from a Christian high school, you get 80% off your tuition. I mean, they are busing these people in. And when we sit in meetings, the first thing our president does, which is he's basically Trump light. He is very, very Trump-esque. Because the first thing you have to do is praise him before you address him. So you have to tell him something nice about himself. And we start off with how he's very proud we don't have affirmative action, very proud to get rid of the word diversity in our mission statement, very proud that we've put in marriage is only between a man and a woman. What they've started pushing now is that it's one vote, one household. That's what they've started pushing now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
That. Yep.
if you want, I'm from Illinois. I didn't even really know what anti-Semitism was. And wow, like I've had coworkers tell me like if they hire a new dean and that dean is Jewish, they'll quit. Like it's extreme. But that's what's happening on Christian college campuses. So I mean, tell your friends. But that's all I wanted to comment, that that's normal. So
Oh, I completely feel your pain and I agree and I know. Like it's just you wouldn't believe it unless you know. Like I said, my one
yeah.
of my friends from the private Christian school, she went to a private Christian college in Florida where I kid you not, the dress code was you barely can show ankle. Like these people, it's not
Mhm.
just past the knees. Like we're talking about calves are too much. That's women tempting.
Yeah.
Like
And then
it's terrifying.
yeah, the other thing is too, one of the things that they're most proud of is if we're one of the only Christian universities that has a science department. So I teach pre-med. So I work with MDs and PhDs. And I've had so many students come up to me, I know particularly for a psychological anatomy course. And this instructor got up at the front of the room and he was trying to explain the psychology of women and why we want to look so good for our future husbands. This is what he said to a room full of future doctors of America.
It's so depressing. I know. And never mind. Anyways,
Okay.
moving along. But I digress.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get to a
no, but
few more people. I'm sorry you couldn't
yeah,
talk to Jay. I know he wants to
no,
talk to
that's
you, but
okay.
he's looking a little under the weather. He's a bit green around
That's
the
okay.
gills.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye. Yeah. Christian universities. That guy's speech, I'm sure they clapped after. I haven't even watched it because I can't take it. Space pasta. Can you guys? Is it low? Okay, there you go. Now it is. I see you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, what's cheesy, superstar?
What's going on? It ain't easy being cheesy.
No, it is not. You need to hop into the Discord and hear all of the talk about the cheese caves. But
About the
I
what?
wanted to kind of the cheese
You
caves.
you sound a little far away. Oh, don't even. Yes, he's got it bad for Bober. That's what's happening. Bober's performance literally drove him to nausea.
Speaking of, I don't think that you guys can definitively say that it was good or good for her because you have no idea what happened on that plane as far as, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you call it?
As far as Andrew Jackson's, though, we don't know.
Yeah.
There's no telling if you're in a plane seat next to Bobo what happens.
I wanted to come up and ask you if you've noticed with a lot of conservatives in general, I'm going to say just MAGA, but conservatives in general, that they're seeing things in like through like a binary lens. Like everything, like both sides are corrupt, and then you'll say, like, no, the Republicans are way more corrupt. They have way more arrests. They have way more uh, creeps and child offenders.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's all a distraction. That's the point. Like, right? Whatever. It's Freudian. Read Interpretation of Dreams. Like Freud explained everything happening in our country a long, long time ago. Like, it's what I'm doing. I look and I'm going to project it onto others. Like, it's also the nature of authoritarianism, right? Like, authoritarians see themselves as a victim. Everything they are actually doing, they project that onto other people and say it's being done to them. Like, then the both sides argument, I mean, I just think it's the number one, like, if so, it's the number one teller of like whether or not you're a good faith debater. Like when you come up and you say, well, both sides, you know exactly what a person's doing at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like everybody else just sees all this stuff in the spectrum. There's like subtleties, there's nuance to all of these arguments or thoughts or ideas or anything, but they just see one of these things, one thing wrong, it's a zero sum game for them. You know, everything, this one little piece is wrong, so your entire government is wrong, your entire concept is wrong, your entire solution is wrong.
Yeah, I concur. I think the both sides argument, I mean, it's damaging, but I also just think it's a way to make your like the right feel better. Like you're in cognitive dissonance already. Like when they start to come out of it, the way they sort of manage it, the reality of it, like when they start realizing, well, okay, maybe the right is lying, then the way you rationalize that is it's both sides. Everyone's lying, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
okay. It's okay that I'm in this cult where I'm being lied to every second of every minute of every hour of every day because both sides. It's just another way to rationalize like an irrational situation.
That is a good explanation for it. There was one other thing that I wanted to ask Jay, but
You sound kind of quiet.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like moving my phone around while ADHD.
If you have a question for Jay,
Yeah,
you can tell
Jay's
us what it is and maybe we'll tell him later.
yeah, Jay's not. Well, we've got the YouTube replay, so he can come back and listen to whatever your question you had. So, he's probably. He asked me if I can help close this live out because he's just not feeling well all of a sudden. So,
I got you.
but
Well, as for anybody honestly who can get like Liv's attention, he said something in one of the debates the other day, and I DM'd him about it. He was bringing up a study about.
I can get his attention. What do you need to know?
He brought up a study about Republican brain function, conservative brain function.
I can't hear you again. You literally sound like you have your hand over the speaker.
Really? Oh, something might be wrong with this.
You're so far away.
Is this any better?
yes,
No,
it's a little bit better, but
no, it's not better.
Oh no! I'm genuinely sorry.
That's
I'm not supposed to be there. It's better now?
Yep, whatever you're doing is fine. Just stay there.
It was a study about cognitive function in conservatives and how like predicting the future or seeing better outcomes in general, like they are don't have an optimistic worldview. They're not capable of it, or they can't think of it. Something along those lines. If anybody can get his attention and grab that study, I would love to read it.
So you're looking for a study he mentioned on cognitive function in conservatives?
If you want to DM it to me, what you're asking for specifically, I can get either to Fleece or even I think Jake's in there or Jay too. We've got people we can ask him. So
yeah, I got you. I'll go look at the message that I sent him too. It'll probably be better.
Yeah, just do that and we'll get to him.
Bye, love y'all.
Bye.
So it looks like we've got 2 other people in the box. Do you want to wrap up with them and then we'll end it? Okay, hold on. Disconnect. Okay.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Do you hear me?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I wasn't going to jump in, but then after the other woman was talking about a Christian campus, it kind of reminded me of a time. I'm a nurse and I applied to be an adjunct professor at a Christian college. And in order for them to even look at my application, I had to write my statement of faith.
I don't even want to say I taught at a private Christian school and same thing. Like something I think I had to sign one essentially. Like they're
Now,
talking about like loyalty pledges, but it was like a loyalty pledge to like Jesus.
they wanted me to write
I
my
wish I
own,
still had a
like they were
copy
going
of
to
it.
grade me on it. And
Oh
so I
yeah,
ended
well I
up,
think I had to write like my testimony or you know what
so,
I mean?
yeah,
Like
something like
of,
that.
yeah, you got to prove that you really know the
I,
lingo. You don't actually. That's the thing. You don't have to be a good person to be a Christian. You just or to work at a Christian place. You just have to speak that language. You know.
I ended up withdrawing my application. I
Yeah,
couldn't do
it's
it.
if you're a woman, I don't know why you'd want to work anywhere near a Christian college. It's
I'm not
not.
allowed. They said I can't apply. So
Although I have to say, they're not all alike. I did go to a Christian college for my BS, and there they were pro-choice. They were,
Oh wow, okay.
they
See, those are the
were,
kinds of Christians I have no
they
problem.
were, they were,
I'm into freedom of religion. It's
they
just when
taught.
it becomes repressive for women and minorities that it becomes an issue.
They endorsed liberation theology, which was very left leaning. So it was
Yeah.
a good place to go. But yeah, most of them are not like that.
I was gonna say, well, Notre Dame essentially, like my best friend went to Notre
Hmm.
Dame. That's a Jesuit school, you know, University of Portland is its sister school. You could go to a religious school and it not be as repressive as some of
Yeah.
these scary evangelical
No, Notre
Christian
Notre Dame's
places.
religion is football.
Yeah, exactly. That exactly,
It's
exactly.
not
It's like
Christianity.
it's not like it's a Jesuit school, but is it?
Yeah, yeah. But that's all I really had to say. Although I do want to say that you guys were talking about your aha moments yesterday,
Oh yeah.
and my aha moment, being a nurse for like 35 years, I finally was talking to one of my good friends about late term abortions, and I was going to say, it just hits me wrong. And she said, there's no such thing. Why are you thinking that anyone is doing a late term abortion because they want to? And it's like, how could I be so stupid? Of course nobody's doing that. They've already picked out a name and a crib, for God's sakes.
I know. Can you imagine? Like
And
there's no
like I
argument
said,
there.
there isn't. I couldn't believe how completely ignorant I had been about that. But Felice, that whole religious upbringing just blinds you to certain things until one day you're hit on the head, and once you open your eyes, like you said, you can't shut them again.
yeah, once you start asking questions or like yeah, educate become educated in evidence-based science, like it's just once
Yeah.
those holes start the daylight you could see it starts shining through the holes. It's like none of this makes any sense. And I once heard someone say like waking up or and getting out of especially like religion, it's like it's directly
Hmm.
proportional to how miserable you are within it. Like me being a woman, me being pansexual, like knowing as a
Yeah.
kid that I was attracted to men and women, like those things I think made me more miserable in a situation than say my brother who, like if you're male in Christianity, it's a lot different experience, like he was not as directly miserable and like
Yeah.
my misery and cognitive and dissonance within myself that I couldn't outwardly be who I felt like I was inside led me, I think, to get out of that faster than say someone else. Like Jay
Yeah.
says,
I can
Mormonism's
see
not
that.
that bad for white males.
That's true. It's
It's
true.
not the worst place to be.
I think another thing that really helped me is as a pediatric nurse, I was exposed to trans kids in situ, where I could see the difficulty they had and how real it was, and how much that that therapy and accepting transition was helpful.
Oh, absolutely. I imagine just whoever you are, whoever everyone
Mhm.
is, that person, if you weren't allowed to be that person, the person you are sure you were gaslit 24 hours a day with people just denying your existence. I mean, dysmorphia would happen to all of us. Like, everybody deserves to be validated. Everyone deserves to have who they are on the inside match who they are on the outside, and we should validate that in people. It's just about respect.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time. I know you're going over, but thank you for letting me up. Love you too. You are a big part of my everyday, and you and Jasmine make a much better couple than Jay and
Thank
Jasmine. So
you. This is now, let's get to
We
the real
appreciate you.
stuff. I love that. And I followed you. Thank you so
oh,
much. I
thank you,
love
thank you,
talking to you.
thank you. All right, you got to kick me. I don't know how to go.
I was gonna. I don't
I
even
know
know either.
Jen
We'll
knows.
all be up
I
here
got
for
it.
the
I know how
rest
to
of the
kick people.
night.
That's something I'm good at. So
Bye.
have a good one. All right, I think that's everybody. So we'll wrap it up. Jay's not
Jay is
feeling so hot. So
when he feels better, he'll pop his head up again.
yep. All right. Well, if we want, we've got the YouTube. If you guys could go over, subscribe, go watch some of the videos, like some things, interact, we'd appreciate it. You want to say anything else, please?
No, thank you guys for a great week. We will see you guys on Monday, or I might be in a live sooner. But I hope to see you guys this weekend. If not, see you guys Monday morning.
Yep. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.